What is up, everybody? It's your boy Z5, and today's Spice Cabinet is joined with me by Nightingale.
My name's Hank Hill. I sell propane and propane accessories. What's up, guys?
Today we're going to talk about the patch notes, and then we're going to dive right after that, into the balance update that we had a little bit ago, and just give our thoughts. So, we were just, right before the podcast, talking about, what was it? I was going to talk about the forest. The Forest of Souls, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really nice that they're giving us more materials daily, right? I'm a little confused by the Molagora farm.
That I couldn't process even in this morning. I was trying to process that live doing my video, and I'm like, wait.
Yeah,
it's like it's saying
you get
you
one.
can do this 3 times, but then you can force it, and then what?
Exactly. You get one per week through the farm, but those 3, you get the little like nudge, the nurture things, which is once per day, but only 3 times a week. And if you can essentially make it grow sooner, and if you make it grow sooner, it grows another one after the rest period, which they didn't explain how long the rest period was. So I was just like, so what does it do?
I'm going to be honest. That's literally, that left me scratching my head, and I tried not to stall on it doing the video, because I'm like, I could literally sit here for 5 minutes reading this, and I know how frustrating that would be in a video, so I was like, okay, I think I got it, but we'll just come back to it when it's in the game. We'll see actually how this works.
Exactly. We'll see what it does tomorrow.
Like, it's got its own unique icon. I've got it pulled up here. The Molagora farm. In the Molagora farm, heirs can acquire a free Molagora each week. Period. Okay, we agree. It can acquire 1 a week. Next dash. Acquiring Molagoras before the 7 days elapse will put the farm into a resting phase until the next harvest.
Okay, we can get it early. Cool. Right?
No, it says acquiring the Molagora before the 7 days elapse puts it into a resting phase. So what does that mean? That's where it starts to get, like, English translation, maybe? Maybe this, in a different language, was written
differently
for what it was.
Yeah.
Then the next dash is Molagoras will begin to grow again. So it means that you're able to pull this thing out, because again means just that. After the resting phase. What's the resting phase? Like, we get it, but what is this resting phase? If there is no resting phase, the next Molagora will grow after the previous one is harvested. Okay, so that means this is saying after the one is harvested means that you can do this more than once, but unharvested Molagoras don't accumulate and can only be harvested once a week. So it just said you can only get it once a week. So what in the world is this? Like, what is this? I don't know. I'd like to say I'm an educated person, okay? I thought I understood English pretty well. I may not speak it perfectly, but, you know, I thought I understood English pretty well, and this makes no sense to me. And I've read this several times. I can't process this. And then here we go further down in the patch notes, and it says, after 24 hours, so here's the first time a time has been mentioned. After 24 hours, you can shorten the cultivation time by clicking the cultivate icon. And in parentheses, for this statement says once every 24 hours, so you can do this once a day, 3 times a week. Why do we need to do this if we can only get 1 Molagora a week? If we can only harvest this thing once? You can take care of Molagoras and reduce the time by 1 day. So you can get this by 6 days. So what is it saying? You can theoretically get it every 6 days now? You're getting a Molagora? Is that what this is really reading into being? Like, I actually don't know how to take this. Cool, but I honestly give me a diagram, show me a blueprint layout of this thing, a tutorial video on lynda.com, and yeah, I might actually be able to figure it out then.
Yeah, it would make more sense if they showed like what everything did, and like how they usually do. They have the little graph that says like this does this, and we're replacing this with this.
A preview video would have been freaking brilliant for
Yeah.
this. Like a 20-second preview video, would have taken them 5 seconds to make, and be like, all right, guys, all right, heirs, here's what you do. You click this button 3 times a week. You gain a Molagora every 6 days versus 7. That's all you had to say. Or just point blank say you're going to gain a Molagora every 6 days versus 7. Or maybe we really are getting a second Molagora a week out of this. And I'm just too special to realize I can't cipher this text.
Listen, I sat there for a second looking at it, and I was like, man, this doesn't make sense. It's either saying we can get more than one a week, or it's saying we can get one a week, but we can get it early. But I don't know why that would matter, right? If you can only get one a week, it made no sense to me.
I'm gonna read this text box, which is what's inside the Molagora farm, according to what this image says. So it reads, on the Molagora farm, you can nurture 1, and it is in green lettering, which means this number is it subject to change based upon your level of your farm. 1 Molagora every 7 days, period. Each time you take care of them, you will shorten the duration, period. You can take care of Molagora a maximum of 3 times. 3 times is in green text. Over the period of 7 days. Over the 7-day period, with an actual period. Okay. If you harvest the Molagora earlier than the 7th day, comma, the farm will enter a resting phase, comma, and you will be able to nurture the next Molagora after the resting phase is over. That is physically what it says in the game on the icon.
Okay.
What in the world is that? Why am I struggling to figure this out?
If a simple player cannot figure out what it's saying, I'm saying at that point, then like it's too complicated then, right?
They've worded, and this is where I'm asking, in my opinion, do you think this was mistranslated? Like,
yeah.
It reads in English fine, but did the translation coming from Korea or Japanese, it should be Korean, did that get flubbed by how it doesn't technically work in English? Like, certain words just don't work in English that work in Korean, and just like Korean words don't work in English. Every language has those words that just don't translate. I wonder if a word here
just didn't translate very well.
Didn't come over, and I don't know where it would be. Because I understand what a resting phase is.
Yeah.
A resting phase means that there's a cooldown period. So, is it the rest of the day? Is it a 24-hour timer? Is it a 48-hour timer? Because there's I don't know. But yeah, Molagora the Molagora farm. It's cool. And the biggest thing is, I think what everybody's going to enjoy is they no longer have to do the seed conversion.
Yep.
But now those people who use the seeds as a means to not completely mola their characters, because they don't want to just spend them accidentally, well, now you got to pony up and become a real Ep.7 player and actually spend your molas, and then have the restraint to not spend your molas instead of just full sending them in.
Yeah.
Yes, somebody actually came to me one day and said that's the main reason why they keep them in seeds, is so they don't just 15 a unit out of
So they don't.
like,
oh wow.
or you just eat 50, or it's literally like, but it goes to 11. But why don't you just make 10 louder than 11? But this one goes to 11.
Oh well.
So it's louder. So it's that scenario here, is like, just don't spend 33 molas.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
Oh no. Everyone's gonna have. Oh yeah, no. It's gonna be interesting. I wonder how many people are just gonna blow all their molas they get.
Oh, instantaneously. People with this influx, people are gonna be leveling stuff they have no business in, because they think, oh yay, all of a sudden now I got all these Molagoras coming in. Well, you just leveled 3 units. Good luck. Where'd your molas go?
Where'd your molas go? 4. Do you have enough gear for all those units?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Are they even gearable? What do you think? So this is pretty cool. I like the fact that the growth alter's now outside of the actual cooldown time.
Yes. One
So it
thing.
means now you can just spam away and spam till your stigma's gone.
Yes. That was one thing I enjoyed. I was like, oh, and they said you could. I think you could do both of them at the same time. No,
Physically, no,
no, but
because
they're in the
I'm looking at the
same.
button.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can do them at the same time, meaning you can go back and forth. You don't
yeah,
have to cancel one. You can summon them at the same time.
yeah. Okay, when they
I
said
thought
both at
that
the
was
same time, I was like, oh snap! They gave me a button that says I can spend like 3,600 stigma.
I mean, I wouldn't go spend them all on just penguins. You earn enough penguins in the game. Honestly, really, people, you should be spending your stigma on phantasmas. Penguins are, if you farm properly in the game, you should never have to do a single penguin summon ever in the game.
Whoa, I understand that, but some days, it just gets a little tight on the budget.
Some days, excuse me, sir, I have 4,700 current small little guys. I have 59 of the medium bros, and I've got 26 XL super thick dudes just waiting to go at any point in time.
See, I had like 15 of the XL ones about a couple days ago, and then I used them on Bellion, and then I used all the mini ones to get 6 stars. I had like 200, and now I'm down to nothing, and then I got them back up to 100, and now I'm down to like 20 again, so...
Like I said, somebody's not farming adventure as much as they should.
Probably not.
So, if you guys would like to find out how to effectively farm penguins, it's called Do Adventure Mode.
Or side story, right?
Yeah, side stories, but still, you gotta farm AP at some point. Those catalysts don't grow on trees.
Whoa, they grow in side stories, though.
Yeah, they do.
That's like the easiest way to gain catalyst, and that's what I enjoy about side stories the most, is that like it gives me enough for a unit. And it's usually like the same kind of unit though, so like it always makes me a little upset because I'm just like, why do I need all these shiny enchantments, man? All these breath orbises. What's the other one?
Pull that special unit.
The claw, not the twisted fang, obviously, but the
ultra fang.
No, is it the twisted fang that I'm thinking?
Twisted fang's the blue one that is everybody using.
Ultra fang, yes, ultra fang. Yes, no, I'm thinking ultra fang, the one that drops in the side story. They never changed what drops in the side stories. It's always the same ones. It's like ultra fang, and I think
it's themed based off of what is going on typically, or they're. It's the theme is that the shop is one astrological sign where the story is another.
Okay.
Typically, is what I've seen. Sometimes they're completely opposite. Sometimes they are in tandem. But typically the story is gonna have a theme of Catalyst, and the shop will have a theme of Catalyst.
Okay.
Speaking of Catalysts, I gotta jump to this because I can't. Epilogue Adventure Point merger.
Oh, you mean the best part of this whole?
Yep.
Actually, like, what? Yo, man, I was like, man, I have like 1,000 in one area, then like 0 in the one that I needed in.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm gonna have like 4,000 AP tomorrow. It's gonna be great.
I don't know if I'll have that much. Maybe like 2K for
2,
me.
I think it's between 2,000 and 4,000 because I have a few of them that are over 1,000 that I've been preloading. I've been farming my butt off in adventure.
Okay.
Trying to get Catalyst caught up because I don't know if you'd seen the tweak. Have you seen my tweaked RTA prep sheet now?
No.
Where I've now got it where it calculates the catalysts needed. Yeah, and let's just say it's toxic.
Yeah,
so
you need like
right here I've got
plus.
like 700 in Rengar, I've got 600 in Savara, I've got 900 in Soleil, I've got 240 in Soleil Forest. Let's see here, we've got 200 in North Northmoor World. We've got 1,000 in West Terranor. I've got 1,000 in Central Terranor. I've got 500 in East Terranor.
It sounded more
900 in
like
the desert.
it sounded like more like 5,000-6,000 for you, sir.
Yep, we've been farming because I'm trying to buy out a lot of catalysts over the next like week or two.
You mean 3 weeks?
So,
you can only buy 10 a week
actually,
in some.
Most of those are going into Dark Corvus and Bellion is going into Bellion's now got to get thrown in there, so that's good.
Yeah, so you're gonna be farming all those slime jellies, and then you're gonna be farming, I think, Breath of Orbis. I'd have to look at the catalyst.
I've got Dark Corvus's Cursed Ashes, Jelly, and Dragon's Wrath, which is I've got most of that ready. I don't have Bellion put on here because I didn't know the rules, but I will have that updated by tomorrow's stream for need to find gear sets. Oh yeah, and then I've also got Silk, which is exactly Dark Corvus's same stuff, so I've got to figure that out because I pulled Choco Silk finally, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I'm going to come up with something for that.
Wasn't she on your gauntlet?
No, Choco Silk is the only one that's left on the waifu gauntlet is Opsig, which the only reason people have been wondering why I'm not going for Opsig is because I said I don't want the chase to be that easy.
Oh, yeah.
If it shows up, but I don't want to get it easily.
One thing that I thought was weird, speaking of like MLs, that custom banner, it pulls from every 5-star in the game, like RGB.
Yeah.
Which
that's actually kind of cool.
I think that's a little like OP because like technically, right? You could pull my 5-star luck on Mystic banners is a lot higher than the Covenant. So you could pull essentially a lot of dupes out of this custom Mystic.
Oh, you have no idea. I'm literally sitting here praying for a Mort, or for Mort to show up. I'm like, just please give me Mort. At this point, just drop me Mort, and I'm super happy. Give me Sigurd's size along the way. I'm happy. I'm as happy as it can be. There's so much awesome. Now, the only thing I don't like about it is I like the fact that you can focus artifacts in the normal Mystic if you pay attention to it. But because it is so random, it also has a nice chance of you getting things you wouldn't be able to attain, especially doing a full Sin Pity. In my case, because I am going from 200 to 0, we're walking away with some stuff. That's for sure. It's just what are we walking away with?
So you can choose the artifacts too?
No. The artifacts are going to be random as well.
Okay, so the artifacts are just random, just like how it is in
That's what I'm saying. It's like I kind of liked the normal Mystic banner where you had that select.
The
5-star artifact, the select few 4-stars if you actually cared. Like for me, the number one thing, and I kid you not, that is the most important thing I need to pull out of that banner tomorrow is one more red Corvus.
Oh.
I still to this day am one Corvus short, and I have been saving them since.
Oh wow.
April last year. I have been saving every single Corvus that has come through my account. I am one short from a triple S, so I have to obtain this thing here. Or else I'm going to have the world's most scuffed Dark Corvus set.
He's just a Corvus simp.
So, I need to get one more red Corvus.
Alright.
That's all I'm asking for.
Moving on from like the custom Mystic and the changes to everything, like as far as like growth, I think the one system that I'm kind of happy about is the equipment system revamp. The Fribbles at home.
Fribbles Light.
Yeah, Fribbles Light, exactly.
You get most of the function with half the calories.
Yeah, exactly.
So my goal is to do this. We're going to take a unit on Fribbles Light, and we're going to give it a good college try.
Okay.
We're going to see how well it can do, and then I'm going to throw up Fribbles on the same thing and say, all right, this is what it said. The game said I should use. This is what Fribbles said I should use. and see how actually close they get.
Okay.
I want to see the actual difference of how the difference in calculations. Because at this point, they basically should just pay the guys at Fribbles and take half their tech and put it into this. But
you know what else they should do? They should just also include a damage calc in there. You know, just let us have a test dummy to set their values and see what our DPS is against them.
Not gonna lie, that would be cool. But I'm very curious to see how well this works. I really am. I'm hopeful because for the people who cannot actually
figure
get
out how
Fribbles.
Yeah.
Well, no, just in general that can't get Fribbles because they don't have a laptop or they don't have access to a PC because they only have mobile devices.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, this is going to be great for them because it will give them a level of customization. The only thing I don't like about this is you can't filter off the units you don't want to touch. So, like with Fribbles, we have the ability to say, nah, like I've literally got priority lists because of some of the stuff I'm going to be working on. But normally I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll let this, and this through. But I do not want this unit, and this unit to be even thought of in the results. So you're going to have to get through a lot of that. So that's why I want to see how accurate is this when it comes to reading high-end damage. And I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to make it use pen. I will do a test with it to see if it can pick up the pen's value.
Mm-hmm.
Because Fribbles will tell you have more damage with a pen set.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to test it just on a normal build, nothing crazy, just a normal unit, and see how well it can build it. And then we'll get into the weird, I'm trying to break the two systems. I think it's going to be kind of fun. This is great. New players, newer players, this can mess you up. You know, I just want to put this out here for anybody who's listening to the Spice Cabinet. If you're newer, don't do this.
Oh, yeah.
The reason I say don't do it is because you might ungear a unit that is just barely functionable and no longer functions in certain tech. So it's a very cool system when you get a little more established, and it also helps you figure out what's best in your builds. So why not?
Moving on from that, what do you think about the crafting mileage? At first, I was like worried. I was a little worried about it because they said 180. I was like, oh my goodness, we're gonna make a summon 180 times.
Oh no, I hit the panic button faster than anybody else when I saw that it was initially 360, I believe.
Oh no.
On one of the original photos, I think. I'll have to go back to the original Awaken preview, but I almost want to say that was 360. And I'm like, excuse you? Wait, is that points? Is that summons? Is that gear? What is this term? Mm-hmm. Is this the quality of gear? What determines this number? So the craft mileage system, I think, is going to be... It's a step in the right direction. I don't think... Okay. I understand why they've made it exclusive to each hunt.
Yes.
I think it should have just been an overall timer. Because, personally, it's not that I want to abuse it and go hit, just say, pen set. And I'm trying to go after that or trying to hit speed set.
Yeah.
It's more of, if you have limited resources, it still would help newer players out to be able to have the mileage just count up in general.
Yeah.
But because it's resource specific, it means you're going to get... You can be working on Banshee and get a mileage ready for it, and then get a mileage ready for your Katie's team or your Golem team or your Wyvern team, you know, whatever you're wanting to work on. So yeah, I mean, I get that the mileage is going to be cool. The only thing I'm trying to make sure that I fully understand is this. It's saying that you can get 2 if you let it spool. Basically, you can get 2 bonuses of it.
I think,
but you can't.
I think it was
multiples. Why would it let you count it up? Why does it let you count these up into multiple things if you can only craft one at a time? Is it against you're trying to spam craft something? It allows it to just save up? Well, then why couldn't I just save these up? Why did we have to put a limit on it? But I mean, I get it, so that you can't just come through and start trying to one-shot a bunch of red gear for a new unit. I mean,
True.
There's pros and cons to this completely on all sides.
My question is, does it let you choose the type of gear
Substat?
it's going to be? Not necessarily substat, but the type of gear. Like, can you choose if it's a sword? Can you choose if it's a helmet? Can you
Okay,
choose if it's
so
boots?
you need to scroll up one more. So scroll up just a little bit.
Okay.
And this is what's got me confused in this system. Do you see how it shows that gold ring around the gear? My question is, because they mentioned something about you could pick it.
Oh, I
Is
see.
that gold ring
Is that
you
for
getting the epic piece?
that would be it? That would make sense.
That's what I'm curious is it because it says it says specifically a button for the epic gear, but when this is activated, does that mean that I can come in and say I want 2 pieces, and then that menu below, which if you scroll down, will say
What set?
do you want it to be a crit set, hit set, or speed set?
That would make
So
sense.
that's where I'm curious, is that what this is for? Because the gold button really threw me off, and I didn't mention this in my video because I was still trying to process it, a ton of information at once.
That would make sense,
But
though.
I think that's where you get the set piece from.
Okay.
So if you want helms, there you go. You're going to get helms from this. And if I understand it correctly, because it says epic craft ×2, you are going to get 2 epic helms out of this. But now my question goes, what if I don't want 2 helms? How can I just get it to craft 1? Do I need to be on top of my game and say, as soon as that hits craft 1x, do I need to go craft whatever I'm after?
I'm curious on one thing that you could do, though, right? I was looking at how you could abuse kind of like the system, right? Because that's kind of like my first thought process is like, how can I get the most value out of this the quickest way possible? If you were to craft a bunch of accessories and then use the epics for everything else,
Okay.
because accessories give you more points.
Yes.
It gives you 80 points instead of the 60, right? And with the 80
the
points,
odds technically say that you're better. You have. Wouldn't the odds say that you have a better chance of crafting right side or left side here because of the lesser rolls? So it's better to roll those because it's cheaper in the long run, and then use the epic crafts to grab the accessories, which are a pain in the butt to grab. Would it not be better to do it in the other direction?
For me specifically, I'm going to use it for boots. And here's why. Because every time I'm trying to roll for speed revenge boots, they give me injury and pin. And then all my revenge boots are like defense main stat, health main stat, attack main stat, flat stats. I'm just like, bro, I just need some speed boots.
Well, see, what you really need is you actually need these things called equipment conversion boxes. You take those and you use speeds.
I use those too, but then they give me like trash rolls. I'm just like, I just can't win.
And then it's also the next big thing is manifestation stones. Yeah, those don't exist.
I actually had a stockpile of about 600 to 800 of them just chilling because I wasn't reforging any manifestation stones. I was just collecting them, from hunts and expos and stuff. So I had about 600, 800 manifestation stones. So when I did craft like that one good piece of like, what is it called? What's that gear called? I forget right now. Conversion gear.
Yep.
I had the resources to be like, oh yeah, I can just reforge that real quick.
See, I guess here's the difference is I'm constantly popping crap on that to see when I'm getting like a little bit antsy for a piece. But I got really lucky over the last like couple months where it's been literally a pain in the butt because I rolled that 17 or 16 speed Doris neck. I rolled several pieces that needed to be reforged. The Celine neck rolled really well. I rolled a ring on. I rolled a 17 speed ring that needed those things. Like I've been rolling stuff left and right that are high speed things on that. So I've been reforging so much on it that I'm struggling to keep up with those things.
Oh.
So manifestation stones are like, oh god. Why does this gear have to keep rolling so well? Like, I'm okay. I'm happy that I'm getting this really awesome gear, but darn.
Sounds like you're buying that, the Expo Pass.
How did you know?
Because I did the math. I did the math, right? And I was like, how much do you get out of this? And
you get a decent bit. It's for 1,500, but it's.
I guess you gotta look at it as in it's a monthly like thing, right?
Yes, it's okay. As I said in the video for this, it's expensive it's really expensive when it's Epic Pass month.
Yes.
It's not as bad when it's not Epic Pass month.
Yes.
That's where my issue was.
And I think it's a solid investment because of all the resources it gives you. It gives you an extra reforge in each hunt. It gives you an extra 300 manifestation stones. So that's 3 reforges for conversion gear, and then it also gives you more.
It's because it's 200. It's 200 a reforge. So
yeah.
Oh wait, you're saying no in total.
Yeah, in total.
You're getting
an extra.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out of the full thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you now.
Yep. It's a 1.5 thing, so they just added another 1.5, so you have 3 total.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
So like instead of having to wait an entire month, right? So that kind of stuff can stockpile a little bit faster. If you're like cautious about how you're using it and stuff like that.
Yeah. You're not blowing them.
Exactly.
And the gold transmits. Let's be real.
An extra 3 gold transmits. You can get a moonlight pull from just expos now. So, and then if you count the bonus, like 2 gold transmits they're giving us for weekly.
Yeah.
They are definitely being very generous with the transmits. So like, if you want
because they're really trying to sucker you into those ML4 stars.
Well,
hey, I heard you want an ML5. Here, have an ML4.
Well, with the new system, right? Probably one of the biggest complaints was how are we going to get that many ML pulls to hit that pity?
Here you go. That's where that's starting to show.
Yeah.
You're starting to say, all right, we know the rates are jacked. We know that you absolutely want a pity for the pity, even though we never use the words pity, but you want a pity for the pity.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. Here's more gold transmits. Good luck.
Yep. And then they added the new Abyss.
Yep. Which is more. More tokens overall.
I looked at the total amount for like this installation of it because obviously they're going to add more floors to it like they did with Abyss. They'll probably even go all the way up to 120 like they did. We're looking at with right now this iteration of what is it like 10 floors?
Yes.
It's 3.5 million gold, 15 mola, 1,000 mystic, 15 galaxy bookmarks, 200 powder, 10 transmits, and then you get a potion of it. No, not a potion. You get a shard, and you get the
Potion of Ascension, which is the instant 6-star thing.
Do you get a Potion of Ascension?
Yeah, that's what that read. Unless I'm reading this wrong, unless this is the typo. It is.
And then you also get the thing for the artifacts. Ball of Knowledge. Yeah.
Ball of Knowledge is the artifact.
Yes, that's what I was like. So like it's Slate in Knowledge.
No. Unknown Slate is the imprint, and so you're getting one of each.
Yeah. So they're giving you a lot of like good resources for just going back through and beating Abyss. But one thing that caught me off guard about that Abyss challenge mode, you can only do it basically once per day, right?
No, you enter it. You spend your 3 tokens to do it. Once you've beaten it, then you can enter it in an unlimited amount of times to finish the other challenges. But you can only do 1 floor a day.
Okay.
You can't do multiple floors.
Got you. So I was reading that a little. How I was reading it, I was like, man, it says that you can go back into the floor.
Yes.
My question was like, you can't obtain a clear reward. Got you. That's what it was.
Yes. The clear reward, meaning what you initially got.
Got you, like the 1 million gold, yeah.
Or the 10 epic catalysts. You won't get that when you go back in, but you will work on getting those mission clear rewards as you beat the stage. So,
which I was telling people on the stream, I was like, this is not a beginner friendly thing. Like, do not touch this if you are.
I think here's what's going to make this not beginner friendly is you can only use one type of each.
Yes. So I saw that.
That's going to be the thing that's going to screw them over the most. But I think that's the thing that some people will be able to come in and grab. It depends on how hard this actually is. How how big of damage sponges are these dudes?
I'm going to
If they're
assume.
not super damage spongy in those first early stage or two, once you beat floor 80, you might be able to come back and beat floors. I would like to say, my thought would be, if you're doing this balanced and trying to make this fair, if you can beat floor 80, you should be able to get in the first 3, guaranteed.
Okay.
I would say would that not, if you're thinking about balance, if you've got 10 of these things, in the process, if you're thinking, okay, you're unlocking this at floor 80, this should be no harder than floor 80.
True.
So
I can only remember what floor 80 was.
Stenny.
Stene?
No. Floor 80 is 90 is Stenny. And 100 was Ravi. Oh my god, I forgot who 80 is.
You see? It's been so long. Like I'm hard chilling on 96 right now because I got past like 95 and I was like, yeah. Or whichever stage it was with Tywin, I was like, yeah, fuck that. Yeah, I'm done. I'm not
Tywin
going.
Was I think I beat that with Clurry. I think it's how I ended up beating that one.
I think I Stene cheesed it.
Let's see. Abyss 80 was 81. It's the Ameru floor.
Okay.
So it's the Rose Ameru floor. So
is that the one where you have to kill the crystals and stuff?
A 1 crystal. You had to kill a 1 crystal specifically on that one. Because it's that same mechanic as she is in 1.10.10. You have to keep that 1 crystal down, but you can't kill the other one. So you had to have enough single target to kill her. So that's not too terrible in the grand scheme of things.
No.
Especially with some of the broken BS we have now that just like straight ignores mechanics. You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
The average Joe starting today can get so many broken mechanic units. But yeah, no, Abyss challenge mode is gonna be cool. Here's what I don't want to get into. They're already when we jokingly talk about the Abyss level passives of some of this stuff, where it's just, I mean, I can go read somebody's resume faster than some of these passives. Like, oh my gosh. So why when I click on it, it says click more, see more details, and you click it, and then you're just like, where's the Cliff Notes version of this? Tell me what not to do, and that's probably faster.
You said Rimuru passive? That's crazy.
You want you said don't breathe on it. Just everything else. Okay. I'm dead.
Yeah.
So when we get into those, like, I get that's how they have to word stuff, but I hope we don't get into the point where this thing is like 45, 50 minutes to beat one of these stages is getting a bit absurd.
Oh, yeah.
I get it, it's a one-day thing, but you got to think this is a mobile game in the grand scheme. So think about how many players who own Genshin Impact on their phone. And if they don't have a modern, up-to-date phone, 15, 20 minutes of Genshin Impact is like 85% of their battery in seconds.
Yep.
Gone. So, okay, now, obviously this is more optimized, because I've seen, even on my garbage phone, before I literally fried it playing Ep.7, literally, I
low quality mode?
I bricked, no, this is before that. I literally bricked the processor and the battery. Both were fried. No. Because it overheated too much.
He was farming too much.
Even it was my charger was actually the issue.
Oh, wow.
I had a short in it, and it was causing the phone to get a lot hotter than it was supposed to, and I didn't realize it.
Oof.
And they're like, yeah, no, the battery overheated and fried your processor. I'm like, great. So, but even then, that one I could still play about an hour on that phone, but it would 100 to 0 the battery. So if you got the average player who doesn't have a battery pack and all this stuff, this stage it theoretically take 15 minutes to be able to beat, and on a hard stage with difficulty, not 45 minutes of sitting there going, I gotta read for 30 minutes before I can even attack once. We'll see how it goes. I don't like where I'm at in Abyss. I'm at Abyss 101, and I say it's not worth the time over effort. I can earn more money in an hour than it would cost me to go buy the stuff to do that, so I'd rather just buy the stuff. So if you want me to buy the gear pack, I can earn that in an hour, and it saves me all that time and effort. Uh, when you talk Molagoras, oh wow, there's a few Molagoras there. I can go earn that. Mystics, I can go earn that. Pulls,
Mm-hmm.
I don't need the pulls. I don't need the dupes. I don't need the slate. I don't care about a frame. But I would like to see a challenge. Yes, I want challenging PvE content, but I don't want to sit there where it's all based around, does this one thing land and the whole thing's trashed? There should always be extra outs in this stuff.
Yeah, I
But
know.
if that one thing doesn't work and it doesn't land at that one spot, you are screwed. And then you got to spend 20 minutes chiseling your way back to that one spot. That's not.
And then you sit there for a whole hour as as your team like slowly dies and you slowly kill the boss and you're just like hoping that you kill it faster or land poison or whatever it is that you're trying to do.
So I'm excited for it. I'd like to see something different to mess around with, especially because personally I'm flushing my Abyss keys down the drain. I clear Abyss every day. I just purify every day.
Oh,
So
I like the purify at the Abyss entry screen rather than having to go into it every single time.
That's something that's been asked for so long. That has been asked for so long by so many people. I can't tell how many people are like, why can't it just be at the opening of the screen? I'm like, I know.
That would make sense.
So here it is. We finally got it.
Yep. As like Mashi was like, yeah, all those suggested.
You listen to our suggestions, really? Then where's the nerfs? You listen to our suggestions. Then heed this warning wisely. Start nerfing units.
Hey man, if they start nerfing units, I'll be able to play other units.
Right? There's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, some units just need to get the hammer and just get it over with. Rip the band-aid off.
I think I was thinking about this the other day. What's his name needs a complete rework. Chaos Sect Axe.
Yes.
He needs a complete rework, and I think Chaos Inquisitor needs some tweaking.
Yeah. Interesting concepts for 3 stars. I think most people are going to go. Of course, if you listen to my comments section on YouTube, they're like, 3 stars are pointless. And I'm sitting here looking at Doris. I'm looking at Roz. I'm looking at Clury. I'm looking at
Carrot.
Phyllis, and I'm going, wait, really? They're trash? Then why do they carry me so hard?
Actually, believe it or not, Phyllis has one of the highest win rates in RTA right now in the upper, Emperor
yeah,
and
they're
up.
trash. Keep that in mind. They're trash. Nobody wants them. Okay. Just throwing that out there.
And I think actually, Pavel is making a comeback right now because of Arya, which makes sense.
I can understand that, but I'm like, that's still such a dangerous thing with how much fire is out there. Jacko, Meru, Malim, Hera,
Well, okay, well,
Hyung.
I think Meru is probably the biggest threat to Pavel because she can counter regardless of him can't be countered.
Yep. Because of Magic for Friends can activate as a damage from somebody else, which is not counter.
It's not counter.
It's technically not a counter because it's not the counter set or counter buff. It's the one aspect of like the Elberus Ritual Sword. It can technically trigger on another unit. If you got a well-built Meru on a very fast, no bulk Pavel, it's going to die.
Yeah.
You're gonna that first one just gonna go splat, and then if it activates the second one, it's done.
Yep. So
Which would actually, that'd be the 2 of the 3. Yeah.
People are using Pavel, I'm assuming, for Arya. Plus, he's fast, obviously, and then ran in Pyro getting banned. So, like, when they're trying to set up their cleaves, who else do they have in their roster that can be fast and do AoE?
Yep. Fire Koeric. You've got Pavel.
They could go back to Cerise, technically, right?
Yeah. I'm shocked you haven't seen more of a rise of that, personally. I would have figured that would have been something
I think people are reluctant to give up on like their Pyras and Rands to rebuild Cerise because of how good they are, even though they have some of the highest ban rates right now in Champion Plus. Even in Challenger, I had a few guildmates tell me that like, yeah, I permaban ran. I'm like, bro, what do you mean permaban ran of all units? Like, you don't think like Conquer Lilius is a bigger threat? And they're like, no, I have like Lionheart Surmi for that, or this, that, and the other. I'm just like, okay, man. If that's if
I'm just sitting there staring at like, really? You want to use Fran? Let me just drop my ML Ken down.
bro,
Let me just drop my ML Ken down. Let's go.
there's literally several ways of dealing with Rand, I think, and
Yep.
it's Conquer Lilius is a lot harder to deal with if someone knows how to.
Vigor's annoying. The Vigor is definitely the annoying.
I lost to someone where I had the setup to, if they were like dumb enough to just like S3, just press S3, S3 and pray basically. But bro is smart. He S1'd and then he started S1ing with everyone else up until the point where Millum came up. And Millum literally just cleaned my entire team. I was just like, wow.
Because he had the souls, I bet.
Burn. He had 40 souls, yeah, so he could do 2 burns and an S3 and it procced the Dragon's Roar.
Yep.
With attack buff.
Dragon Buster.
Felt bad, man. I lost and I was like, well, I can't be mad because he actually like
thought about it. Yeah, no, I'm all for skilled stuff like that. Like if you can actually physically out-psych your opponent to doing stuff like that, that's great. No, I mean, like some of that stuff you just can't be mad with. There's nothing you can do. There is nothing you can do.
I set it up so I could stop him if he wanted to S3 and just get Vigor off, because sometimes I do that, right? I'm like, oh, there's a Politis. I can just Vigor still. It doesn't really matter that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
It was very interesting to finally fight someone that like used their brain in a way that was like not your typical instant sprint.
Yeah, 100%. They just sometimes that people just don't think.
We got off a little bit, so let's bring it back.
Heck
what
yeah.
else on the one major feature that I'm super excited about. People probably won't really care about it, but for me, I'm the skill effect filter.
Oh my god, that's huge. For me, I am absolutely all for that.
Yeah, I hate being like, especially like Hall of Trials, right? They're like, if you bring this debuff, I'm just like, oh yeah, I gotta remember out of all the heroes that we have, like who does this debuff, bro?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. I cannot wait for that because I can't tell you how many times I'm sitting there trying to figure out just other things in general. I'm like, wait, who has this? Then I have to go into Google. I have to search up, go into the buff section of this website I use, and then I'm like, oh wait, now it's just here they are. Cool.
Yeah, way easier.
No.
And you can also do it in RTA, which is interesting.
Now that one, I don't think you got enough time for it.
No, I don't.
But if you know that you need one quick thing, sure. But to constantly be filtering, okay, it's like I want to smack somebody with restrict. Done. Okay, I can quickly search that because I'm like, I see so much CR push here. I need to stop this in some way. Mm-hmm. That's how you do it.
But like, if you're, I'm thinking I think that's more so for newer players than anything else, because at a high level, you're already knowing like what stops what.
You do have those moments where your brain goes mush.
True.
And you're just like, yeah, maybe not.
Restrict. If off the top of my head, I would say Cerise would be my number one with Pyra, and then after that, you could say Yunrung would be another one, and then Rikoris, and then Great Chief Koana all have restrict in their kits. though I probably missed maybe one or two. Oh, Lucy, yeah, the 3-star that I never used that everyone uses for Banshee.
Good old Lucy. Yep.
Could you imagine someone using Lucy in RTA?
Oh, I've seen it happen at lower levels because they just drafted it because they were memeing around. They didn't really
Yeah.
know what they were using.
You make her really fast so she goes first, and you just put it restrict on the entire team. Isn't it like an attack? Isn't it like an actual attack too?
I'd have to go look. It's been so long since I actually seen Lucy go off.
Because if it's an actual attack, then you could you could technically pair that with like SBA. and that just sounds funny to me.
Yeah, no, I mean it's
if it's a non-attack skill, you could pair it up with Eda still.
Oh, that's true.
It's true. It's just one of those situations where it just sounds funny on paper. It's an attack, so yeah, SBA. Ah, my new SBA cleave.
Ooh.
With Lucy. Actually, you know what? Could I use her? I probably could use her in Kites.
Yes, you can. I've seen teams actually use Lucy, but the issue is
that decreased speed debuff.
I think the issue was with if you had Koana, it doesn't make sense to bring her.
Yeah, true.
And because technically Roana makes more sense, Tamarin makes more sense, Lucy's restrict is good if you just can't.
Don't have any.
Yeah.
Oh well. My dream is dead in the water.
Right, I think it's a really neat feature, though. I'm really happy that they finally added that.
Talking about neat features, the pet % chance to obtain Reforge materials. Why wasn't this implemented when Reforge was like made?
Because they wanted it to be a slow curve. So, all right. This one's gonna be cool if we can get a fourth skill on the pet, which it doesn't sound like, because you have to think charms are a thing, and that's one of the advantages of the pet right now. Because if you don't get to add a fourth skill, you have to give up one of your S ranks already on this pet.
I think you can get a fourth skill, though I could be wrong.
I'm gonna have to check it out when I can go pop one of these two, try to merge two of these tomorrow and see what happens without actually merging them. But it's when I'm looking at Dovahkiin here, it's 10% chance to receive one additional lesser charm for hunt. Mm-hmm. And it's like that's really good because those charms really do save you in the long scheme of things.
Mm-hmm.
So you really need to weigh that out. Now, sure, I can see the advantages of everything. I see the advantages of the additional equipment. I see the advantages of the charms. I see the advantages of the double crafting materials, and I can see of the reforge materials. But I think if we're having to make a pet that expensive, it should have a fourth skill. We should be able to have all of them. But if choices come down to it, I'm
getting rid of the crafting material.
Honestly, for the reforged, might be the play.
Mm-hmm.
As much as it's gonna suck.
Oh, and it's going to be 12%. After
it goes all the way up.
Yeah, because they said that you can increase the affinity to level 6, so that's an extra 2%. So that's 12% chance of getting. So every 5, no, every about every not every 5. It's like 7, 8-ish, right? Is my math off there? My math might be off.
It's been so long since I've done affinity.
It's about 8. It's about every 8 runs you're gonna get at least one of those.
Yeah, I typically see a paw print every time I do a hunt, like do a hunt session.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rare that I don't see a paw print on one or two different things there. Actually, I typically get the gear more than anything.
The extra, blue, yeah.
But it's at least it's gear.
I get the double crafting materials sometimes, but like my thing is that now the hunt buff is changing. It's the same, right? You get double the crafting materials, and then you get more gold.
Right now, we're getting everything.
Yeah.
For this update, we're getting everything.
So
all 3 days or all 4 days or whatever the time is just everything, which is cool.
And
I appreciate that.
I think that's cool, but like, do I need another? Do I need 100%? Do I need 150% material drop where I'm at right now? Probably not.
Depends on how much gear you're trying to craft through and how bad that mileage system really ends up being. How screwed over do you get on it?
True.
That also is something to consider when it comes to crafting materials, is because now you are guaranteed more reds. You probably want to cycle through the chance of getting more reds.
True.
Because that's one thing I talk about. I don't know if it's in the. It's probably the. It's probably the video where I talk about the gear update and then the future of power creep and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I may have mentioned it in there, or I may not have. But basically, what I know I've mentioned this on stream at least twice in the last month, is at some point in the game, blues need to get removed, purples need to become the common drop, and then reds need to become the more focus, because we shouldn't go to having to farm a new set of gear. I think 85 needs to be where it stays at, but we need to get a new material eventually to take our gear from 90 to 100. So to make your gear more valuable, you need to
farm super hunts.
Well, it's not even necessarily like super hunts, but you need to be able to get that red gear more obtainably easier, so that you're not investing in the long run, because that's really what it's going to come down, is to cycle more red gear. We're to the point now where we don't need blue gear in this game. It's literally a trash drop. So let's just get rid of it, get purples in, and then start cycling more reds through the game, and we can fix some eventual power creep out of that. I see you looking at the pet event.
Yeah, okay,
That's
so
gonna be fun.
I think the limited pet thing is stupid. The ML pets are really stupid. Someone,
I mean, it is, but
because I pulled one today, and someone was like, "Oh my goodness, you got an ML pet." I was like, "Yeah," but in the grand scheme of things, it was useless. I pulled so many ML pets that one of my guild members were like, "You pulled so many, but where are they?" I was like, "Oh, I probably foddered them." They're like, "What? You foddered them?" I was like, "Yeah," because like if they had trash skills, I didn't really give a fuck what they looked like.
Well, I mean, the thing is if you don't plan on putting it into one of your pets, because you can always use it for the cosmetic, but other than that, if it's like you get to a point where you're just collecting so many of them, you're like, eh.
And that's where I'm at. I have a full like pet house of just ones that I know I'm chilling on, so I can use them as fodder, right?
Yeah.
Like I got this one today, the baby aura.
Oh yeah.
Cool, right? Cool looking thing, but like this skill being B, I was like, in my head, that's immediate trash.
So what I would do is I would take, if I wanted that pet, I would take that into its tier 2 form and try to get the skill rolled off onto one of my transfer S's so that I could carry it up, is how I would be looking at that. So I get where people are, because some people do like the customization of being able to get their pets to look how they want to look.
Yeah.
So in that case, it's trash, but you got to think, you still got to smash two 1-stars together at some point.
Yep.
So just transfer that skill over to that other 1-star, and then carry it on the way up because one of them's gonna be off.
Yeah, that's why I kept the researcher Sam, and I've kept the Flame Fox because I paid for those technically, right? You know what I mean? Those donation
Oh
packs or
yeah, him.
whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, those are the ones that I would want to keep because I spent money on those. I can't get those any
Yeah.
other way besides spending more money on them when they come back around whenever they want to do that again. Even though they're trash, those are the ones I would want to keep. This this patch, the Awaken patch up. There's a lot of good stuff here, right?
Yep, I would say so.
Um,
There's some filler in here.
yeah,
Sure.
there's a lot of quality of life in here.
Which is good. They're doing a lot of it at once, but at the same time, I don't understand why this crap couldn't be done over the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Why did we have to have a big update to drop some of this random small stuff in?
Random quality of life stuff that we like. Like it's cool, right? Yeah, I get it. It's cool. But like the urgent mission quality of life thing, that could have been done forever ago.
Yeah.
The episode 3 difficulty reduce could have been done forever ago. The adventure point merge could have been done forever ago. And then did you read the labyrinth stage rewards adjustment?
I did, but I didn't quite. It's because it's right there. It says battle rewards and treasure chest appearances will be adjusted in all labyrinth stages from of 1 to 4 in order to emulate the imbalance of rewards.
So they're gonna make the older ones better, essentially, is what they're saying there. And I think they're going to give the people who've already completed it compensation. So they're just gonna throw it in your inventory.
Fine by me. Free stuff's free stuff.
Rock and roll. Man, I don't know. I'm a little iffy. I looked at this. I looked at all this, and I was just like, one thing that threw me off is this right here, the charm conversion. I thought they were going to do all the charms increased.
Yeah.
And then they only hit you with the greater ones.
That's fine. Because I'm okay with this because accessories are typically one of the areas you struggle in the most with anyway, and this saves me from having to take that slight bit of load off those ancient coins a little bit. I'm all for this. There's nothing wrong with this. I think that this is a good thing, and I mean we have hundreds of cores just sitting around that are not being used, and if you farm a specific line, you have thousands of that one thing you never use. Just start chucking those in. Like it's a good thing.
Everyone, make sure you start up your penguin and doggo farm.
The man is literally farming penguins in his altar.
Exactly.
My eyes need to be bleached.
Listen, no. That's more so of a day one thing. When the game first started, right, and you had the multicolored penguins and things like that.
Yep, I remember those.
It was much more efficient to do 2 penguins and 1 dog.
Oh, absolutely. But nowadays, when we have the thing called Penguin EXP.
Yeah.
Again, the thing you seem to struggle with.
Yeah.
I might be able to help you out if you need help. The first step is just admitting you need help.
Well,
we'll get you through this.
Listen, I'm farming. We
will take you from bum to billionaire with penguins.
I'm probably just not farming that higher enough, difficulty. That's all it is. I'm going to
unrecorded history.
Yeah, I go to
you farm. And actually, that's something else to mention too, just as a kind of a fun fact. It means now, technically, theoretically, if you want to farm AP and get the most penguin EXP, you now farm
the cracked
episode. You do 10. You do episode 10. 9, I believe, would be the second highest EXP because you don't want to farm the boss stage because it's too fast or too hard to just cycle through because of the mechanics. But yeah, you can now farm. You can now farm that for technically the most EXP per thing, but at this point, no, just focus farm what you need because there's some very cracked nodes out there that have a lot of really great stuff.
I know a lot of the rifts.
The cracks in the worlds and all that stuff.
All of those refresh daily, right?
Yes,
and
that's still not physically worth. because they are extremely expensive, and it's not the catalyst drops aren't guaranteed. But the AP from it might actually be kind of pricey.
The AP. That's what I was kind of going for. It's like the AP on them is a lot higher. So for
no joke, I will probably try that tomorrow on stream just because of the AP bus up.
Because I mean, how many cracks in the world are there, right?
Should be 5 or 6 because of Mercedes's imprints.
And then you do 6 times 3. That's 18 at 30 energy a pop.
It's expensive.
You're looking at about 700 or so energy to run.
I'm gonna do it just as a test, just to see what one node does. Just full send the full node and just see what we get.
Oh, how many points you get?
Yeah,
and things like that. Okay.
Just with buff up, because I would never do it in daily. I would do it on AP buff.
Gotcha.
Since we'll have that starting tomorrow. I would try it out just to see how much value can I get out of that one run with all that stuff up. So I'm very curious in that.
One thing I'm curious about is what are they planning next? Like, what's the next big like content drop? Because all this is this seems like fluff, right?
If we dissect the Awaken update, what's missing right now? The 3 heroes are technically missing. We have the Grace of Unity system missing. We have the Ep.7 World Cup game mode missing. We have the Arena 3v3 missing. We have, let's see, we got the mileage. We got the, we've got both customs in. The PC client was the next big thing of the Awaken update.
Yeah.
For everyone. We had the. Darn, I'm trying to scrub through that page in my mind. It was the world. It was the PvP stuff, the 3v3 arena, the units. We had then they had the IP stuff where they're talking about doing other things, the web comics and all this other stuff. They had the stuff talking about collaborations, which they had that banner today saying that they are getting rerun. So prepare your bookmarks carefully because ReZero and Slime are on the way.
Yeah, they're coming back. With both the collabs coming back, you can expect that they're going to be dropping one new unit each. With Slime, we're probably getting we already kind of know who we're getting. Shuna, right?
Shion
is
Shion's the one we're hoping for.
Because they mentioned her, right?
Because they've mentioned her in the story, and she was in it. She just wasn't animated. But Benny Maru is another one that typically comes in the Slime collab.
Okay. Finally, I'd be okay with a guy.
So, there's a decent chance this is a 50-50 on this one. But since the good news is we got Shuna over with. Thankfully, I am so glad she was the free unit, honestly. Because if Shion was the free unit, I'd be mad because I want that unit to be good. And then with ReZero,
I'd say it's about 50-50 between what's his name? Subaru and Beatrice.
Okay. Now I'm not checked out on too much on ReZero. Haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
It's on my Crunchyroll watch list. I know some of the characters, but without actual pictures, I have no idea.
So you know who? Obviously, Subaru.
Yep, he's the MC.
Beatrice.
Everybody keeps saying they want. They're saying they want to have Arby's passive dying and coming back.
Yeah. Beatrice is a mage, like the strongest mage in the show. If you in Seven Deadly Sins, she's the chick with the twin ponytails.
Her right up there at the very top.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember when that dropped.
Yeah, that is her.
Okay, then that's probably what's gonna drop.
Yeah,
that's probably it.
She was she's a solid character in the show. She's actually a fan favorite, obviously, because she's been in several things, but like I think Subaru would be the next best thing. I think Beatrice is all right, but she's not. I don't think she's waifu enough to make people like spin unless they make her kit just completely busted, right?
Now, here's the other thing we do have to take into consideration is they have not said anything about new units, because here's what actually you do need to kind of think about. They already want to run new collabs this year.
Yes.
So if they start doing the reruns, which now for everybody who's new that does not have Rimuru or
everyone's going to pull Rimuru so hard this year.
Oh, people are. It's gonna be absurd at how that banner's about to make them a ton of money.
Yes.
That's gonna bring so many people back to the game to get Rimuru because of what he has become. People will be pulling for sure. But they may. What if they don't have as good of a relationship as Guilty Gear? What if they just rerun the units and say, "This is it. This is all you guys get." That's good too.
Yes.
And in this case, technically, if we're really getting down to it, they've already released the 3 strongest candidates.
Yes.
In theory for ReZero. Ram, and Amelia. That's their 3 heaviest hitting contenders.
Yes.
With Slime, we can easily say that Rimuru is it. And a lot of people want like
Gabuta and stuff like that.
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily like Gobta and Ranga and like Veldora would be. Do you know how amazing Veldora would be? But how many copyrights they have to break in order to actually get him done properly? Like, let's be real. He does 3 very, very important, very important moves.
Let's talk about this real quick. I thought about this with ReZero. ReZero had a character named Puck, which. Okay.
It's the cat, right?
Yeah, the cat weasel looking thing that floats around. He's a spirit for Amelia, right?
Yep.
I always thought that it would have been a smart idea if they just included some of those side characters like that, like Puck, as pets, like lobby pets. Yep. So they would be technically it would be a collab character, but at the same time, you would have gotten Puck and you would have been really happy. You would have had Puck as your lobby pet 100% all the time. And then same thing with Slime, right? You could do that with the wolf and also the dragon. So it'd be like a little chibi version of them, but at the same time, you would have them in the game.
Yep.
So
I definitely think like with Ranga, that would be one of the best things they could do is make him a lobby pet, and this way that would hit that fandom. And then you do Puck for ReZero would be another great fandom. But then again, it comes down to, you know how much... It's not like we have a thing that we could easily fodder a unit into a look. Mm-hmm. That's one thing we can't just... In order to put that look on a 4-star pet, that unit has got to go all the way to a 4-star to put that look on it. It's not like you can just fodder in a 1-star into it and get it change its look. They kind of need to change that in the end.
Oh, so you're saying they need to add like a... what's that called? A glamour system?
I wouldn't necessarily like a glamour system. It still needs to come
at cost.
Like, you still got to fodder away the unit, but like it should at least allow you to throw that fight. Like, once it's changed, it's changed. So now if you've got your hunt pet as, let's say, Ranga, and you get Puck, you don't want to. You now have to go, okay, well, this is either gonna have to go to a alter pet, or I need to make a full new one, not just a system of. Maybe they could do it. Maybe they really could do something of
like a transmog.
Like a I wouldn't necessarily say transmog, but like I guess like a beauty parlor system of some sort where once you've pulled them, you have their looks. But I don't
know. Wait.
There's ways of
there's a lot of wiggle room there, right? All right. I think we've talked a lot about the patch.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the balance patch.
Snap.
And thoughts about that. So far, Out of all the balance units, I think the strongest ones is Destina and Dark Corvus.
Yep. Yep.
Followed by Armin as a close like third.
Yeah, that's definitely annoying.
But then after that, like Coley,
Was a
both
bust.
both the Arminthas. I have not. I've seen SBA. I have seen SBA used in comps, but they haven't worked the way that the people wanted them to work. Because I saw it a mile away, right?
Yeah.
They draft a Ran Caesarea Khalid with Pyra, and then they use like her, and then so they go too far in to set up SBA that they didn't have enough damage, and they were banking on SBA to land burns and stuns and stuff like that, right? And in my head, I was like, oh, it's easy then. I just drop a Christie, problem solved.
Yep.
And they just leave my Christie there as they're like, oh, it's just that 3-star unit. I don't know what it does. And then once they start trying to debuff my team, as you saw earlier today, right?
The guy hit the angry Vildred emote, and I was like, ha, he didn't know.
Just sat there trying to debuff over and over and over again, and like 3 of the units aren't getting debuffed, and just one is.
Yep.
And he's just like, why is this not working? He's like, am I just getting 15%? That's what everyone's first thought process is that it's 15%. I'm just like, oh my goodness. They should release a Zero Suit Corvus and have it look like, oh. I think actually Dark Corvus is going to be like the next RTA skin, hopefully.
I think it's up between ML Ken and Dark Corvus, and the reason I say that is because every other
original Moonlight Blessing heroes have a skin, so they're next. One of them's getting it soon. Not after. We first got to get through the main Chloe skin, but after that, I guarantee you one of those two is getting a skin.
And then after that, we're going to get another random ML5.
I think they're going to finish them off, personally.
You think so?
I think they're going to finish. I think they're going to go do both of them, and then they'll be doing whatever they want from there on out.
Yeah, for all this.
I think this year, I honestly think this year they want to finish up. They're doing Made right now to make sure that people aren't like, why is it just the Moonlight Blessing heroes? Then they get through that and go from there. So how do you want to dissect this balance adjustment? Do you want to take it from top to bottom, or?
Yeah, let's take it from top to bottom. Destina.
Right, so SBA is number 1 here.
From the list. Yeah, okay.
Or just specifically on, or do you have certain heroes you want to cover?
Oh no, we could talk from the actual patch and go down. So
kind of quickly here, I'll give you a copy pasta into your chat so everybody can see what we're looking at, and you can pull it up.
Easy. Thank you, good sir.
So, number 1 is obviously SBA. This one was this was one of those characters that were voted on in the balance survey. And honestly, this was if you look at it, sterile, and that's the way I think we are going to look at this, at least in my opinion. I look at these in a sterile environment, not necessarily what OP thing can happen because of X existing unit.
Yep.
But if you look at what the unit is in its own environment, she's good. Honestly, in terms of just where I'm at, I would have done what they did for Armintha to Silverblade, personally. But I'm glad they didn't, because then that made her self-sufficient.
Yes.
So, in terms of I want to screw over the player base, Armintha's buffs into this definitely made more sense. But I like the fact that they're willing to take certain risks and like change over like the passive completely. Flame of Savara now is when an ally except for the caster uses an attack that targets all enemies, increases combat readiness of the caster by 20%, can be activated once every 3 turns. So I can see where people have been like trying to do stuff with this, but it comes down to practicality. If you have Politis there, that's going to stop that. If you have Restrict, that will stop it. So that stops if you get a fast Payra on the team. You've got that stopping you. Let's see what else is here. So the think the big thing that was actually probably one of the more toxic things about it was Meteor Fall. Attacks all enemies with a giant meteor. Keep in mind, giant meteor. It can't be a small meteor.
Yeah.
So, with a 65% chance to inflict 2 burn effects for 2 turns before stunning for 1. Then this is kind of annoying. Decreases combat readiness of the highest combat readiness by 30%.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, decreased combat readiness. That's an interesting aspect for her kit, because now if you look at the control, she's boosting everybody by 20% or 25%. Maybe.
Oh no, is that her?
Counted?
Oh,
So
with the flame release. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm talking about the flame of Savara. Then you've got the meteor slowing people down. Then you have her flame friction, which the flame release of that is now in her passive. So it attacks all enemies with Mystic Fire with a 60% chance to burn for 1 turn before increasing the caster's combat readiness by 25%. So she's got a lot of room moving around in this, and I think this is in a sterile environment. This is cool for SBA, but you gotta take it to somebody who's dumb. But who is that? Who knows? Because you can see debuffs a mile away.
Yeah.
Because it's a very one-trick pony thing, and you have to draft a very certain way to be able to use this. What's your thoughts about this?
I'm glad they didn't give her what they gave regular Aramitha, which is a way to fucking detonate those burns.
No, strip. That's the worst part of that. I'll take the detonate all day long. Strip.
I don't know, man, because the detonate is.
Oh no, it's terrifying. That's horrible. But I'm just saying, the ability to remove buffs, immunity, again, just made this unit more efficient.
Yeah.
But yes, no, you're 100% right. The detonate would definitely have been too far.
Because, like, okay, so my thing is like, if there was, so with Aramitha, it's like, yeah, exactly how the chat's kind of saying, like, giving detonate to Aramitha is kind of shitting on anyone who pulled for Captain Flan, which literally came out like right before all this. Yep. Which I kind of see where they were going. They're like, oh yeah, you get Captain Flan, you get Silverblade Aramitha, you can have Aramitha, all 3 of them work really well together. Bada bing, bada boom, right?
But if one already detonates everything, the other one's going to be dead by the time it gets around. Oh wait, hold on, there's another character that does that carrot.
Yep.
So you start trying to do all this, by the time that one unit you're really wanting to use has probably already done it, and too late.
Exactly. Because we have Meteor Kerouac and Design a Little Bit, Silverblade Aramitha just doesn't work right now.
I agree. And especially with Kerouac being run right now. Today's his last day.
Everyone's pulling heavy for him right now. I promise you right now. You will probably see up until like about for the next 9 hours, you're going to see people saying pull Meteor Kerouac or 6-starred Meteor Kerouac. Just
you're going to see a lot of that. Just because they were waiting for the live stream announcement to see
who the next
what was the cost of the Mystic Banner.
Yep.
Which was the big thing that everybody was waiting on. And just in case y'all still hadn't picked up the flick by now, it's the same as a Mystic Banner. So you have to 100 to 0 that banner if you're going to get into it. It's not a banner you pull on. Do you think this, because I know she's got a run coming up, would you tell people to pull for this unit right now?
Would I tell anyone to pull for that unit? If she's your waifu, sure. If it's a Captain Flan situation, right? If you like her,
I think she has some value, but you've got to get it into very specific comps.
You'd have to take it into.
You've got to be very smart with where you take this.
You could take it into like a Landy. You could take it into anything that dies to burns really easily, like High Young. You could take it into a High Young comp because they're typically low HP.
Yep.
Obviously, if you're going to need to draft either a Silver Rain Ran or Pyra, right? Because you need that AoE or Closer Charles, right?
Yeah.
You need someone that does an AoE attack and gives attack buff, or can give attack buff.
Why not just draft a 280 speed RB? like those JP ones.
Yeah, exactly. Oh well, the issue with drafting RB like that is because he can't give her attack buff.
True, but
You could do with Pavel. You could do with Pavel though, because he gives attack buff to the highest attack unit when he uses his S2. It's his EE. I'm just trying to think like top of my head like who would be paired well with her in certain situations. Maybe Solitaria or Sage Ball if you're going for a control comp anyways, right? Sage Ball has an AoE on his S2. It strips, puts people to sleep.
Time. Yeah. Like she's got some really weird. I think she's sitting like until people really pick up on the Fire Armantha tech.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's self-sufficient enough right now.
No.
To be able to do what she needs to do.
Well, with Fire Armantha, that's also a very gear heavy build. If you're going to try to do the double aura, and the reason why it's so gear heavy, if I remember correctly, let me go look at my speed cheat sheet. She's not like the fastest, but she's not like terribly slow. So like she's kind of like a Collie situation.
SPA?
No, just regular Aramitha. Because we're talking about.
Yeah, she's a lot slower. So she has to go. You'd have to build it slightly slower than normal. I think she's further down. I don't even think she's that fast.
Is she less than 109? Oh shit, she's 106. Yeah, we're looking at definitely like Collie. Yeah, it's like the problem with Collie, right? Too high gear requirement to actually viably use. And I think Collie can be fixed if they just give her an EE that gives her 10 speed like Kisei, right? Kisei was unusable until they gave her that EE. But at this point, what could they give Collie as an EE that wouldn't be too busted?
Her kit's way too jacked. She has to have the gear requirement at this point.
Yeah.
Well, next up on the list
is Dark Corvus, right?
Yeah. Have at it, my man.
Listen,
The stage is yours.
Dark Corvus did not need this buff.
Because if I start talking, next thing you know, you're going to have people just absolutely going full nuclear in your comments. So I'm going to let you start.
I'm just going to say right now, like, I don't think Dark Corvus needed this buff. Am I upset about it? Definitely not.
But he needed to be more self-sustaining. He takes like so long to kill somebody. What are you talking about?
Yeah, 100%.
He's trash. I can't use him in RTA.
Bro, I've been using him in RTA. I've used him a few times in RTA and one because he was there. I honestly just took him into drafts like they bring like an RB and they bring like Pyra and Ran and stuff like that, and I just drop him in there, and they didn't have enough damage to kill him, and he's just sitting there taking a bunch of damage, ramping up real quick. But like, I don't know. What do you do about a 32k, 30,000 on average, right? 30,000 on average extinction unit. Like at that point, you need to draft Hai Young, you need to draft Strays, and you need to draft like Watcher Shrey. But if you don't know it's coming, if it's like a last pick, what do you do at that point? When you know like Rimuru is on the same team with like a Hai Young with Dorvis, and you know that like they also have like Amelia and like T Crozet or something like that to mitigate damage. Like, what do you do in that situation when you go into a team, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna cleave this team, and then next thing you know, Dorvis pops up and you're like, shit, I need a defense break to kill this dude, and you don't have defense break because like the only defense breaker you had got banned.
So, all right, gotta be careful because your comment section is probably about to go full degen, and I am sorry for what I am about to unleash on your.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'm scrolling right now through my comment section from a video. I'm trying to find the exact thing I wrote because it is literally golden, and it's on a video that is stirred up a lot of response from a lot of people that are very yin and yang on this. They talk about how irrelevant this buff is. Okay? So I'm trying to find a comment that basically, if you guys hang out on my streams at all, you've probably heard me mention the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And that there are 4 units out there that are absolutely toxic to this game because of what they are allowing to happen. Dark Corvus became one of those units. He is the 4th horseman. You have Hai Young is one of the 4. You have Strays is one of the 4. You have Rimuru, who's one of the 4. And then you have Dark Corvus, who is one of the 4 horsemen. I will read you a excerpt from one of my comments where I'm trying to explain to people who don't pay attention to this. So, there are major issues. The AI cannot be baited, specifically talking about Guild Wars. There are several different comps that can always be used. But here's something that you guys need to understand. If you try to build an injury comp to kill Dark Corvus, Hai Young can easily kill that. If you build a high defense, low HP comp to counter Hai Young, Dark Corvus and Rimuru can eat those alive. You build a high HP, a low defense comp, Hai Young, Dark Corvus, and Strays directly counter those. You build control comps, anything with ER will absolutely eat through that. There are so many things out there that cannot be beat because of these units, and then you decided to give a 32,000 on average unit extinction. What kills this unit turn 1?
No.
Do you have anything that you can think of that can kill this unit turn 1?
Watcher Shuri, that's the only thing I can think of. A well-built Watcher Shuri.
Oh, well, you think a well-built Watcher Shuri can one-shot a Dark Corvus turn 1 before he can turn around and pop him. You're having to sacrifice so much speed. You have to CR push that.
You would have to CR push.
That's what I'm saying. You can't kill him turn 1. You have to set it up. But if you build... We can build Dark Corvuses to 250 speed and still have over 30,000 HP.
Mm-hmm.
That's an issue. And he can extinct. And let's just go ahead and throw the can of worms out there. You pop Asaria with Unseen Observer, S3 reset Dark Corvus, you have a turn 1 extinction unit.
Yep.
That can't be killed. Cannot be killed. Then what? This was beyond stupid for what they did.
I think you can kill A-Robbie with that, couldn't you? Soulburn S3 into a 30k.
I'd have to go put it on the damage calculator. I hadn't checked on what it was doing, but I had some guy. I'm trying to see if that piece of paper sitting around here somewhere. Because I came into your stream that day that the bus dropped, and we had some guy coming in saying, "Oh, how is?"
Oh yeah, with the Violet.
Yeah, and we were testing it on Violet. No, every single one of those Dark Corvuses were decimating him with up to 28,000 damage.
I remember that.
And some of them were doing 15, 18k on the miss. So it's like, bruh, this dude did not need this. And we're seeing Dark Corvuses that were extremely well built to horribly well built to just getting built. Like literally, if one of them brought it in just saying, I know it's not great, but I want you to see, let's see what he does with the damage. And it literally, they all killed Violet. Only a few didn't when I brought an Arius Holder.
Yeah, you brought Arius Holder with like Carmen or something like that.
No, it was I drafted Arius Holder, so I brought Crow was one of the tests, and that one was a lot easier to kill. Now the Arius on that one was to test the was to specifically test the damage of like a not well built Arius Holder. Then Carmen was there to test the super mitigation, And then basically what we came to is this guy was just dumb enough that when he drafted his Dark Corvus, he didn't ban Peyra and let her get her stupid Super Arius buff off. No crap, you're not one-shotting that Violet. But you're too stupid to realize that you should have waited till that buff fell before you went for it. But you just got completely like bloodlust, and you completely forgot that buff's there and that it doesn't ignore damage sharing, it ignores defense. Two totally different things. Yeah, no, this unit should not existed like this. End of story. But here he is. We're dealing with it. He's now one of the, I would classify as one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Good luck. Deal with it. You asked for this.
Listen, if I think if I can in the future, I'm probably going to try to draft him into more comps. Because like, especially like Cleave, right?
I don't know what to do with him.
What do you do, right? If I put Crimson Seed on him into a Rand that can still soul burn, even if he had ER, like
still gonna cleanse one of them.
It's still gonna cleanse one of them, and more than likely it's going to be the defense break.
Yep. And then here's something else: just don't put defense on him. What defense break? Oh wow, you're gonna defense break my like 900 defense? Whoa. Let's go. Let's see what happens with trying to cleave that now.
And honestly, I don't think there's anything anyone could do against an Armin, Elena, Dorvis comp easily. Because like Elena reduces AoE, Armin now reduces single target. What do you do in that situation?
Yeah. It's called take it. And then now you gotta figure out how you're gonna dispatch Dark Corvus before he can extinct one of your units. Good luck.
I don't know.
Next up, Deanne. This one was not a fan favorite, believe it or not. A lot of people said this wasn't enough, and I'm like, are you
not enough?
crazy?
It was solid. It's a solid buff. I've seen so many more Deannes in RTA and doing well.
I was saying that too, just because of the Soul Weaver buff too, because she just got rerun. I think is one of the reasons. But this is actually a really good buff.
It's a very good buff.
I don't understand why people were like, "Oh, it's only dispelling 2 buffs. It's not a full cleanse." But most of the time, are you sure you don't need more than 2 cleansed?
Unless you're going to a very debuff heavy comp, and without
this ain't the unit for you.
Yeah,
if that's the case. Like, she's literally the defensive version of Amelia without the CR push.
Yep.
It's literally what she is. She's a defensive playing version of Amelia. Same speed, same kit, same everything. Literally the same unit. Just one has better healing naturally in their kit. The other one is more defensive. One is more offensive in their kit. That's literally all they do.
One keeps you alive longer, which is that crit reduction buff for 3 turns with attack buff. Yep. Actually deadly in a lot of situations. You put that on a Ravi and tell me if you'll survive.
Yeah, good luck. But yeah, I thought this was good, and I'm like, you don't want to power creep this unit.
No.
Like, and the one thing I was telling people when we were talking about this on that day, you don't want her to take Amelia.
No, definitely not. She's a whole different unit for different situation.
Exactly. So stop trying to make her be Amelia. Let her be the other version of Amelia. It's great to have options. Stop thinking that there's only one way of doing it. I mean, and that's really it for Deanne. I mean, it was a nice little tweak. That's all she needed. And she's a lot more viable because of it.
Yep. I've literally watched a guildmate use Diane in because he doesn't have Amelia, right? So Diane is his go-to Soul Weaver. And because Diane's been in his draft, he's won games because of the cleanse from the S2, being 2 debuffs rather than the 1, and then also her strong ass S3. Bro drafts a Ravi and her together. I actually want.
I got a guy in my guild doing Doris, Deanne, and a Ravi.
Wow.
Good luck. Good luck. That's a lot of
That's a lot of
defense.
mitigation.
That's a lot of defense. That's a lot of HP recovery. Yeah. Because basically, those two units basically made Amelia 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
And he's slaying with it. He is slaying with that combination.
I might have to try that with something else, like a Dorvis or something like that.
Yeah.
Doris.
So next up,
interesting.
we got the Fire Armintha.
I've used her. I used her in RTA once. It worked really well. Not necessarily her S3 into her S2, but when I'm using her, it's her S2 into her S3. And I think she's a bit much, because mine's level 50, right? Let's get this straight. Mine is a level 50 Aramitha. My Aramitha at level 50 shouldn't be doing like carrot level stuff. And that's what she's doing. If I take her into a team where I know I can get away with, like, I know that I'm probably gonna outgear them. Like, let's say I go against like Challenger or something like that, and in their first couple of picks it looks a little sketch, and I'm just like, this is just a new player, right? I could probably get my Aramitha in there, use S2, get the unhealable off of like 2 or 3 other units, lap them with Aramitha, use S3, give everyone attack buff. She already gets attack buff with the S2, and then give herself barrier and stun them and land a burn. And then because I have Necro and Undine, it pushes her again, so then she can just S1 into somebody. Like, and if I really wanted to make it into a really disgusting comp, and Aramitha was like my go-to unit for all this nonsense, you can make her fast with high attack, and then with a little bit of effectiveness, and take her into more squishier comps when people start drafting Landies, start drafting RBs, start drafting like kind of like a cleavish, but not quite cleave. You know what I mean? Like, they'll draft like Conquer Lilius, and then they won't draft any other speed units.
Yeah.
What you do at that point is then you just ban their fastest unit. Aramitha goes, bada bing, bada boom, does her whole nonsense of basically pushing herself for 2 turns, and then you use a unit like Aros, who takes the highest unit, and you just delete a unit, and that's as simple as it is, right?
Yeah, this again, sterile. It's great for Araminta.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a very good thing, but this can also be another bad thing, but also show the negligence of balance, because here we go again, dispelling 2 buffs, dispelling buffs, dispelling buffs, dispelling buffs.
And if I was going to build Aramitha to be competitive in RTA, I would make her about 260 speed, and I would draft her whenever I saw a high young. Be completely honest with you. Just draft her whenever I see a high young.
Attack buff, and that's going to strip the barrier, and she's going to die very, very quickly.
Because I can then safely draft into a Violet or a Rimuru, right? Because if they're going to try and counter my Aramitha by drafting water, Rimuru, Violet, who else would be good? Landy, any of these units. But then they can't draft those units because I have Aramitha on my team. It just and then also it's also like, if someone has a Stene is a huge easy pick for that. I can't detonate it, right? But you can control a Stene way easy with that, especially with her S2 being unhealable with lifesteal Stenes. Yeah, no.
Oh yeah, no, they're not getting through that.
And if you build her really well, her barrier would be actually pretty nuts. And I think because you can build her a little bit faster. Mine was only 220 speed, right? And I was lapping people with the Necro and Undine with her S2 and S3 combo. And it got to a point where I was just like, man, if I really had her built, this would be disgusting.
Yeah. And too bad Necro is long and gone.
Yep.
Good luck. Gotta wait a year now.
I always recommend getting at least 1 copy of the artifacts, because you never know when they'll be, useful.
This is true, and this is one of those cases where the weird tech actually works. Again, they really didn't need to go this excessive with it,
No.
especially with buffing Silverblade at the same time. I would have, and as my suggestion has always been, this needed to be done at a different time, not the same update, but screw it. They got another one of their check boxes done because they're wanting to show their shareholders, look, the fans voted for this. Here we go. Here's another check mark. We did it.
I think if they did the detonate and the S3 change, it would have been fine, but the S2 is too much. And I think it would have been A-okay if it was just dispelling 2 buffs. If they had to add something to S2, dispelling the 2 buffs is okay. But adding that with the CR push
Of the unhealable?
Yeah. No. That's when they went over the line, because you shouldn't have a unit that can basically... Let's talk about this real quick. Sheik with Caesarea could destroy your entire team.
Yeah. Again, this is why ER is so important and why we need to fix it. Just being honest. This is one of those reasons why ER needs to see some balance changes over anything. This is cool, but for each unhealable inflicted, that's up to 4, which means it can 100% CR push.
If you only land 3 because they have an Amelia on the team, Necro and Undine makes up for that extra 20%.
Stupid. Absolutely stupid.
Hey man, I'm not the one that requested for our Araminta buff. I'll tell you that.
Was not me either.
Like, I understand people want to make her useful, but like that's like saying Haste should be buffed. Haste has been buffed already. Leave that man alone. I understand you want to use him like
a PvE unit.
Yeah,
That's
just
what we need to leave him at. He's a PvE unit.
Oh man, Ludwig is next.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about Ludwig. I think if people knew how to draft with him, he would be very disgusting. If people could think a little bit more about how they could get him into a draft where it would work. I would say if you were, I would force someone into a Stene draft and then use Ludwig. And how I would do that is I would choose 3 single target units, right? And then last pick my support unit for Ludwig and then Ludwig.
Yeah.
That way they think they're safe. But also I would draft something that would be a threat to them more so than Ludwig. But then at the same time, how would you build Ludwig? Would you make him fast so he can take the turn by himself, or would you build him in a situation where he can kind of go like turn 2 or 3?
Well, you got to look at this. Here we go again with that negligence of the stupid tech that they've got to absolutely stop. Attacks with light, decreasing buff durations by 1 turn. What buff is that is decreased by 1 turn that no longer exists? Exactly. And then, before, a 100% chance to stun for 1 turn.
Wait a second.
After the attack, when the target is stunned, increases combat readiness by
50%.
By 50%. Oh, wait. What is Ludwig?
He's a mage.
Exactly. What can you put on Ludwig? A book. What does he have that costs 20 souls? Ignore effect resistance. So, yeah, good. ER is getting... There is way too much screwing over complete mechanics in that one skill. Needs to stop. While, yes, in a sterile environment, this is cool. But when you add in that now he's the, 6th unit in the last less than 6 months to have decreased buff duration or strip added into their kit. Oh, wait, I'm pretty sure there's a unit up above this that said that same darn thing. And then there's a new unit that's coming out that does the same darn thing. Yeah. Stop with this. You literally are making buffs useless. Why have them? You don't go first. You literally are forcing in so much stuff to be a very small micro window of how to play this game because you refuse to balance a game, I agree that the ignore effect resist soul burn is nice for certain situations. This is one of those that shouldn't have had this. Especially at 100% chance already. Should not have had the ignore ER soul burn.
I just had an idea, right?
Okay.
I was thinking, like, man, how could you really break Ludwig's like kit into a team comp? And I was like, man, you know what would also make it kind of busted? If you put him with Jacko and put him in the Jacko spot, right? Right? He can just ignore ER, stun it, push up himself, get another 20% push off of that. And then, like, it's good. But then, like, you mentioned Tayo, right? I was like, wait a second. Couldn't technically Tayo also be put in that spot?
Yeah.
And now we have an anti-cleave unit. I need everyone to understand what I just said. Anti-cleave unit.
Yep.
That can't be stopped, really, because like Jacko cleave is kind of hard to stop unless you Politis, but still, even with Politis, right?
Yeah.
It's a little hard to stop.
That's actually annoying. Oh yeah, we haven't even got to the next part about his thing.
Oh yeah, the call of full moon.
Yeah. Attacks the enemy with Nocturne magic. And when the enemy is defeated, extend the caster's buff duration by 1 turn.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just let's make sure that you guys understand. That means buff duration. As in, whatever's above his head that is blue, that has a timer on it, is being extended by 1 duration.
So are you telling me
keep reading.
If you gave him crit damage and, you know, possibly, you know, attack or gab or something like that, and then he kills with S3, he gets it again?
Pretty much is what we're saying is that it only gets worse from here the more you read it. Penetrates the target's defense by 30% when the caster's invincible. You know, the thing that he spawns on the other skill? He increases it, but he pins their defense by another 15%. And you can give him all that stuff, and he can keep it. And they increase his damage delta.
What is the cooldown of his skills? Do you know? Let me go look. Actually,
no, I don't physically have Ludwig. I have to go to the.
I will go check. I have one.
This is like, it gets even stupider. Because the Awakened, you know, the whole point is like when you read the Awakened aspect, not only does it pen 30% originally, when it's Awakened, it's a total of 60% def pen. 60% def pen. Where basically only 40% of your defense is left.
Okay, so 3 and 4, and then you put time matter on them, and that reduces it by 1. I'm assuming you could technically kill someone with 2, and that would reduce it from a 3 to a 2 turn, and then when you kill with S3, you reduce it to a 1 turn, and you reduce the S3 down some more. Time matter on him would be really, really nutty.
Yeah, that should not have existed that way. But yeah, here we are. And the thing is you don't really see a lot of this. Why? Because it's way too hard to get this unit to work. Because everything can put up unbuffable and all this stuff, and there's just too much out there that prevents him from being used. But the point is that they're still crossing lines way too much in this unit, trying to get this thing useful. You cross the line with the penetration and then the double penetration. You cross the line by extending buff durations. You cross the line
with the ignore effect.
With the ignore effect resist. That alone right there was enough to be the buff for that specific skill.
Yep.
But then decrease buff durations on top of this. You've got to stop with this type of crap. This has got to stop on these units. It's either that or start nerfing things. I'm okay with it. You want to release crazy crap like this and keep trying stuff out? Cool. But start nerfing units when it's too crazy, too oppressive, too stupid in what you're doing. Why is every unit nowadays literally decreasing buff durations? Why? Why is literally every unit doing this now?
Because we don't care about immunity.
It's not even
Actually,
that about it.
it's a dead set. That's what it is now.
It's not even about immunity. It's you're rolling back. You realize you could strip somebody's defense buff with this.
Yeah.
Because you're going to probably run somebody faster than him. So Payra, let's say you run Payra, that takes off one duration of it.
And then you use that, and that's 2. And that makes the entire buff gone.
Yeah. Why? Why are we having every unit to where we can literally have 4 people who could reduce buff durations in a single draft? Why is this a thing now? This shouldn't be done like this. But yeah, you can come up with some crazy stuff for him. You can come up with some crazy stuff.
Sounds like you've already tested this out. I can imagine like a Blingo cleave with him.
Yeah.
You get rid of the one. You don't need an S2 at that point. You can just go straight into S3.
Yep. It's a lot of theory crafting into looking at that unit.
Oh, are we going to talk about the most busted buff of them all right now?
Yep, let's do it.
Good old Destina, man. So I realized this the other day. This is why I actually built my Destina the other day a little bit differently, strictly because I realized one simple thing. I was like, man, Bastion can be put on anyone, obviously, right?
Yes.
Putting on Destina would make it really busted, right?
Yeah.
I figured, why not just put Bastion on Christie and put Destina on any Soul Weaver artifact that increases ER, which there's a few of them.
Just a few.
And they still benefit from having a crap ton of ER. I actually did the math, as you saw in the guild chat the other day, of like how that works. And Destina, even though she initially has the lowest ER out of all of them, after all the buffs from herself and like the artifacts and Christie's S2, hers comes out the highest at 328 ER. And this is not self-imprint. This is just strictly some spare revenge gear I had. And I was like, oh, let's try it out. This is not even with an ER ring. Like, I haven't even optimized her yet to the point where I'm going to be...
That's the crazy thing is that you're already over 300 ER, which means you're stopping up to like 170, 150 effect res units pretty easily.
Yep.
Shutting that down.
Absolutely. And it's been really fun to just watch people like bang their head against it.
There's not much you can do about it. Now, I saw some people that were slightly upset about this because they saw that her healing was taken away. Some of her healing capacity. I'm like, revives units now.
You can make that up also with an artifact. There's a few, I think, that increase healing.
That's just a few. But also, fun fact, they changed her exclusive equipment to fix another aspect of her kit. The CR push was another one that they were like, oh, we lost the 50% CR push. It's in her exclusive equipment.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that I think what they've done is they've made her more utility with still having the ability of reviving. And the only thing I wish is,
I like all the skill changes, right? I think
I just feel the 20% health is a little sus.
I think the biggest issue with her is that fucking effect res buff she gets.
Yeah, the unstrippable F res buff in the beginning.
Yes, I think that's a little over the top, and that's what makes her too OP.
60% F res right out the gate for not even doing it.
AOL can't stop it. I actually tested this theory. AOL cannot stop it. I've done it a few times in RTA with a level 50 Destina, a level 50 Christie in the team. AOL cannot touch my team.
Yeah. But if YG was here, he would tell you about how busted AOL is.
AOL is a utility unit that at first, when people didn't know how to deal with her, was very strong. And now I would say she's a strong pick into a draft that does not have cleansers, or if you if you pre-ban Kerrick and Desire a little bit, and you think you can get away with using AOL easily, I say go for it. But like, if someone has ER built effectively on any unit, like, AOL is just a dead pick at that point.
Yep.
I think I put BBK and Arya in the back once with Destina and Christy. I'm telling you right now, my BBK has like 0 FRS, right?
Yeah.
With those two on the team with her, she resisted almost every debuff. I think Rand hit her with a stigma. And it was like having an ER BBK.
That's amazing. It's actually amazing.
So,
and for those of you who don't understand what we're talking about, it's in Destina's Grace. It's part of her S3. It says at the start of the battle, of the first battle, grants Spirit's Blessing to the caster for 2 turns. It's an undispellable undispellable blue buff. Spirit's Blessing increases effect resistance by 60%. Blessing cannot be dispelled.
It is a ring. It is an extra ring for free. Yep.
But honestly, though, here's the thing, and the only reason why I actually do not complain about this is because the absurd ratio that it takes effective resistance to catch up to effectiveness.
Yes.
It's honestly, this is more fair than anything else that's up above in this thing.
Yeah,
and
because
it's the most broken thing about her, but it's also one of the most fair things they've done. Because ER already has such... You have to literally double your ER to counter their effectiveness.
Yeah, so you have to have like 100 more than what their effectiveness is to actually have a chance.
85 more.
That's insane.
Because of the 15%. So this is helping, but this is not also solving the issue. This just shows that you need to fix ER and effectiveness is what this shows. But yeah, overall though, I think she did a good change. I think this was a good change for her. It brought her more usable. She's still slow as molasses, but that's fine.
That's fine. You can if you have good gear on her, unlike me, right? If you have good gear on her, you can definitely just put like Water's Origin on her to make up for that speed difference, because people are going to just smack into her and try to kill her before she pops off, obviously.
Yeah.
Water's Origin will fix that problem like it does with a Maid Chloe, like it does with any Soul Weaver that you try to kill and don't kill with one hit.
Yep.
So you
definitely
can get
some options for her.
Yeah. And then the fact that she can CR push with her S2 is really nice. I'm not sure if I want to do the complete reset or the increased CR on her S2 yet for her EE, because like both are very good.
I'm doing the cleanse one because I'll still probably build this thing as a counter degenerate.
Oh, the S1 cleanse
with the Celestine. Yeah, no, I'm totally gonna be that guy, and it's gonna be like, yeah, sure, good luck. You're gonna have to hot young this thing, but then again, is it really worth?
Is it worth hot young?
Do you really want to hot young this
rather than like any of the other units?
Yep. All right. So next up, we move further down the line. The best silver transmit stone unit in the game.
Guider Aether. Oh, Jesus.
Guider Aether.
I've not seen a Guider Aether in RTA. I'm just gonna say right now, this buff did nothing to his use, and probably will not do anything to the use unless you are a diehard Guider Aether fan. Past that, like, I didn't see anything that like did anything.
Yeah, no. The best thing you see him used for is those beautiful 70 transmit stones for the cost of double S normal Aether.
Yeah.
Literally, it's the best use of that.
Yeah, I would still fodder the mess out of this unit.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think I have one just because.
No,
but
I'm too low on my silver transmit stones. I've got way too many ego fragments I need. If I get this dude at any point in time, he's getting blasted. I don't care if I need it for a Dagger Sakar mission or not. I'll figure a way around. If there's a will, there's a way, right?
Yeah.
But no, the good news is here that they at least acknowledged their mistake and they fixed it. It initially said on the Spirit's Protection, barrier strength increased proportional to the caster's health, which had us flipped out the first day that this was released going, are you that incompetent that you make it health when he has the lowest base health of everybody in the game?
Yep.
And then they came back within, I think, 72 hours and said that's a mistranslation, which we started hearing from the JP version that it was translated to attack here, but we didn't know which one was the actual mistranslation.
Mm-hmm.
We assumed that the health one was, but we wanted to just wait until it was clarified, and it was attack. So they at least acknowledged that. But yes, this does nothing for him. He's never going to be used anywhere other than maybe a PvE thing, and which a lot of just quickly skip and head over to somebody that had way more hype over the update.
Yeah, you mean like Coley when everyone's like anti-high young unit? Whoa.
Yeah.
I've not seen a single fucking Coley since that buff. It's been like a good solid. How long has this been out?
This has been up since the 14th. So 13 days.
About 2 weeks. I had not seen a single fucking Coley come out and been used. And I know why, because I looked at it. I looked at my Coley. I was like, oh yeah, I love Coley. You know, I'm sad that they changed her kit because I liked her kit beforehand. You could do like 4 attacks off of 1 hit.
Yep.
And it was great, but like then they changed her to anti-high young or anti-fire unit, right? Because I'm telling you right now, she's not killing high young. She's not killing high young. She's going to get clapped before high young is even thought of, because of how slow she is.
But what are you telling me? I thought if I had built like super OP speed gear, man, I thought I'd be able to go out and like just. She's like got to be like a Sid, right? I can go out and just nuke things.
I took my ACID's gear and put it on her, and I think her speed was like 260.
I can get Dark Corvus to that speed. With 28,000 HP.
And I want to tell you, like, my ACID's gear is not like, it's not the fastest, but it's definitely not like the slowest. You take that same gear and put it on like a Ran, he'd be 280. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the fact that she's 260 with decent speed gear and still like you have to build her like a high young, basically, right? Because her crit chance and crit damage don't matter anymore. Because now her whole kit's around her landing bombs and a burn and detonating that shit.
And then on top of that, most people build their high youngs between 240 and 260. Because it's all she needs is attack and speed. So imagine what 2 stats you're going to be stacking into.
Yeah. You'd be better off taking your that kind of gear and put it on your high young and just call it a day. And just pick high young first.
But honestly, though, in a sterile environment, if you have a good version one of these things built, yeah, she's going to absolutely blow up fire units. But this is probably a Guild War trick. This is not something that you're going to get to use in RTA that often, because chances are you're going to have to sell in so hard to showing speed imprint to get this thing like absolutely lightning fast.
You're talking like Vildred with Watcher Shuri.
I mean, just literally, you're smashed it. It's like, you see that I've drafted a fire unit. Well, and you instantly slam Vildred with me having a fire unit. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
You know, I know you know, and then you put Watcher Shuri. I wasn't born yesterday. I know what's coming. Because if I put a second one down, you still think I'm afraid of that grass Vildred.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Like, and all it takes is you just banning the Coley.
Then what? I've got 2 fire units. You were expecting to detonate my fire units because, yeah, no, this wasn't well thought out.
Even worse, like Mercedes would absolutely eat that kind of team alive. Even Coley, right? Even if she detonates Mercedes comes back afterwards and still can clap. So like, I just don't.
Yep.
It
I
does.
felt like this was a rush concept to try to get again to show their shareholders that hey, look, we're making changes. Look at all these changes. 9 units is way too much for this. This was a lot of rush stuff. This wasn't well thought out.
No.
In theory, on paper, it's terrifying, but then you actually see, oh wait, never mind.
It's Coley. What do you mean terrifying?
Next up, I think another fan favorite.
If they threw that on like Kisei, then we'd have a problem.
Yeah, I'd say that.
But I don't think
Coley?
I don't think on Coley. Assassin Coley. If threw it on Assassin Coley, right? Would have been a much better.
So here we go. The girl of the hour, the most buffed 4-star in the game. Literally last balance patch had Armin buffs, and guess what? This balance patch had Armin buffs. They don't know what they're doing with this unit.
Listen, Armin is great. Armin's
His
great.
Bellion Knight. I mean, what?
My pseudo Bellion is great.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm curious what would happen if I put Bellion and her in the same team.
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. I've been thinking about it. I'm not gonna lie. I've been thinking about it. So yeah, she got some pretty interesting stuff here. She's basically a anti single target attack.
Which is great, by the way. Hi Young.
Yeah, but also that's exactly draft. Do you really got the balls to draft?
I do it every time. I do it every time.
Nice.
Because then I just put Arya and I protect Armin with Arya.
Oh God.
It works.
You're so evil.
It works.
All right, so the cool things here is when it's not the caster's turn, the attack turns into an AoE, aka counter set. So now she's got AoE S1. Now next is her this is her S3, which is protect. No, this is her new passive.
Mm-hmm.
So they've made it now when attacked has a 15% chance to counterattack, except when when an ally, except for the caster, is attacked by a single attack. Decrease damage suffered by 20%. When one or more damage reduction effects is granted, only the strongest is applied.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Elbrus Ritual Sword.
Yep,
Nice
basically you
Nice
slap
to see.
Elbrus, you call it a day. It don't really matter.
Oh yeah, and then when it's fully awakened, it's not 15%, it's 25% chance to counterattack.
30. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm thinking about the EE on top of that. My bad.
Yep. Yeah, no, we're almost to that.
I forget that I have that EE on, and I'm like, oh yeah, everyone's like 25. No, you got it wrong. It's like a full counter set, bro.
Yep, it is counter set on counter set. There is so many horrible things that can go wrong here. But yes, and then when one or more damage reductions effects, only strongest is applied because she has the decrease to single target attack. And then now I've seen some people argue about this, about Shield Wall, which is the S3.
Mm-hmm.
The Dispel the buff is pretty cool. And then increases defense of the caster for 2 turns, making her more self-sufficient for herself because she is a defense-based unit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the barrier for all allies is pretty cool because now it allows her to pop the barrier if it is just unbuffable.
Mm-hmm.
But people are complaining about the health aspect of it, and I'm like, you're trying to make this unit way too self-sustaining of being able to recover.
Bro, you said you want us Armin to solo squishy teams?
Yes, is what you want. That's what they were wanting. They were literally mad that she couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So.
Green Armin is actually one of my favorite units that got buffed, and I was like, I remember someone on your stream was like really mad about it and was about to
that's
like
the one I'm talking about.
Like absolutely about to quit because like got rid of the damage mitigation of the 10% by all allies. I was like, okay, so you wanted to keep your protect all allies with your pseudo Carmen, which is Green Armin, bro. We already have that effect. Just use your Carmen, bro. You don't even need to mola that. That's 10% off the bat with no molas.
And then you have the exclusive equipments for this. So now you got choices, people. Choices, choices, choices. Do you make the counterattack proc 5% more? Or do you dispel an additional debuff?
Listen. I say counterattack.
Bruh, I'm right there with you.
I
You
understand.
said I could put injury on this unit? Alright, let's go. Bellion 2.0. I mean, 1.5. 0.75 light? I don't know. Somewhere in that range.
Listen, I think almost as good as Bellion. The only thing that changes her from Bellion is the not stripping on S1, right? That's the only thing. But the fact that she has literally like what is the percentage? What's the percentage again? It is
30%.
35% chance to stun on an AoE.
Yep. That's kind of nuts. Somebody's getting controlled along the way.
Someone. I've had it happen against A Robbies. It's funny.
Wow.
It's funny.
That's actually nuts.
And then like
That's actually nuts.
if you think about it, if they're stunned in my Armin, which my Armin's on injury by the way, my Armin's on injury, I hit them multiple times with injury, and they keep getting stunned. I've had Pyras get stunned. I've had Rands get stunned. I've had lots of like cleave units get stunned because they AoE into her, and she procs her counter and Elbrus.
Yep.
And you put her with Arya, and they attack Arya, and Arya counters, and then Elbrus procs off of that.
It's so bad. Such a crazy combo.
If you can just imagine all the fun I've had with Armin and Arya, and people were like, "Man, why do you keep forcing Arya?" I'm like, because it's fun. Like
not because of the big eyes that she has.
No.
And the smile.
That's everyone else's reason for pulling her. I pulled her because it was a defense unit that I could use as a DPS against Hai Young. That was water, right, or ice, or however you want to say it. I needed a blue DPS unit, and I love my defense-based DPS units.
Yep, it's a great choice
because you can get what's her face. Celius can definitely S2 or S3 and reduce attack, and she still does a crap ton of damage. The only way to reduce defense is by giving them defense break, and only a few units right now that I can name off the top of my head that are being currently used in the meta do that. Rimuru being one of the top ones, but like I typically, if I'm going to draft Arya, I'm not letting Rimuru through.
You have to force ban him at the beginning. You have to put him away.
Yep.
You can't let that come through. So the only thing I say about Arya is I feel like she's a exclusive equipment away from being really good, really viable. I think that's all. I think that's the only thing she needs, and I think it needs to be defense percent.
Oh, don't tell me that, because that's all I need. I need like 8% more defense to get the defense I want on my Arya. So like if you're telling me she's gonna get an EE, if she got EE,
she's a candidate for it. But it's now here's the issue: is what do you do to the skill effects to not make it broken to an absurd level? But she needs the stats, is what she needs.
The defense one would increase her passive to give her more crit chance, possibly to make her easier to build, or you give her self-healing, maybe a small self-healing like how Senya's is. Or hear me out. First time ever, we give her greater defense buff.
Actually, as a strippable, oh god, but no, you're banning Reamer anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I actually could see that as one of the first greater defense units. She would be the perfect king.
And instead of the self-healing, another situation is that you, instead of it being greater defense, but you give AoE defense buffs to the team, along with.
I could see that as well.
Barrier stealth.
Yeah.
That way, it's not busted, but at the same time, it's still better.
But for her, greater defense is actually still kind of a cool tech because we don't have it.
Nope.
We have greater ass beating, but we don't have greater defense.
We don't have a single unit that has greater defense. The only I'd say our pseudo greater defense is Phyllis, however you want to say her name, because of her passive plus defense buff.
Yeah.
And that's it. Everything else,
That is
there's no one else that
yeah,
that
that
does it.
is actually that is something to consider.
Greater defense buff, man. That's all I'm saying. All I wanted was a greater defense buff on a like I wanted it for design a little bit, right? Because like one of the bigger issues with her is that her damage is not as strong as like Lermia, right? Everyone's like, but because her buff came out and they were using her, and she's like, she doesn't hit as hard as Lermia. I was like, of course she doesn't hit as hard as Lermia. Lermia gets defense buff and pins defense by 50%. Like, of course you're not going to get that kind of damage with a unit that does an AoE damage move without defense pin.
Yep.
It's going to be significantly less, but it's still very strong. But if she had greater defense buff instead of just defense buff, you know how many times I would try to get Conquer Lilius with Design a little bit just so I could see the amount of damage I could do with Vigor greater defense buff?
That would be so dumb. So much damage. Actually, I think it's cool. I think it's really that's probably actually the tech for her, and that fixes I think most of her things because greater. You have to understand her defense is actually kind of low in the grand scheme of things, because while some people may instantly assume oh wow, that means I could build a 2,500 defense Aria. Well, no, because you need to put your stats in other places. It means now you can come down into that like 1,800 range, hit it with the greater defense buff, which makes up that gap, puts her up into the mid 2,000 range. And actually, what would it be if I hit if we did 1 point? Let's say what if we did like 1.6?
Okay.
So 1,600 defense times 1.8 would be 2,880 defense while she has the buff up. That would help. That would free up a lot of resource to go put it into health, effectiveness, crit damage. If you want to put it into some speed, you're freeing up actually a good bit of roll right there in her kit by giving her the greater defense buff right away. So it's definitely something to think about. And then just because I know some of y'all are probably degenerate and are like, dude, do the math on it. All right, so let's say we have a 2,400 Aria times 1.8. That's 4,320 defense for you.
Yeah. Some big damage.
For some absolute super high.
I would do it.
Defense builds. I know you would. You'd figure, if you're like, there's a will, there's a way, I'm doing it.
So the way of doing it, right? I need you all to bear with me for a second now. The best way of getting your defense that high is by running a defense main stat necklace and a defense main stat ring, and then also lots of high defense subs on the left side. I've done it before. It works. Trust me on this.
But my crit damage is so low.
Your crit damage doesn't really matter with Arya due to the fact that her passive gives you an extra 50 when her health gets lower. Also, with 2,400 defense, it should be still viable to hit about 220 or 230 crit damage, which is still solid with her.
True.
So,
but again, as I was showing people on stream the other day, the math difference between HP conversion scaling and crit damage, how people are like, will tell you in 2 seconds, oh, if 21,000 HP A Ravi is just too trash.
I mean, 21,000 like 300k or 300, crit damage.
Like, if you got 300 crit damage on it, what does it matter? I'm doing more damage than that 24,000 one at, or 26,000 with 250, 260 crit damage. Like, you got to understand how scaling works. If you understand how that works, then sure, you can come up with all sorts of stuff. But is 20-something... At this case, you got to weigh out, is 2,400 defense worth what you're losing in crit damage and other stats? You kind of have to hit that middle ground. But, again, greater defense buff is... I think that's actually the thing.
I mean, it would actually give some units, viable damage stats. Just saying. Design a little bit. Pilotless.
I mean, Dylan
Corvus
does do some nasty damage, though. I've seen some very scary ones, especially Draco Plate ones. Hurt. I've been smacked back to reality because I let a Draco plate designer Lilibet through. Like, yeah, this won't hurt. No, whop. Okay, that's most of
12k
my
damage.
HP. Where'd that come from?
Defense
Oh
buff.
god, she's on Draco plate. I'm doomed.
Yep.
Proceeds to pick off each one of my team. Great. Regrets.
I think the biggest issue I ever have when I'm drafting design a little bit is A Ravi, because A Ravi just fucking heals back a good chunk of it.
Everything.
Someone was like in the Discord was like, why does Hai Young have a CR push on her S1? I was like, why does A Ravi have a CR push for just fucking getting hit? Explain to me that.
You're over here worried about this unit. I'm over here scared about a worse part.
Exactly.
We see two totally different issues here.
Yeah.
But also then it comes down to, I see nothing wrong with this because I'm using it. I'm just tired of getting clapped by Hai Young. Well, I'm tired of getting seeing A Ravi heal and get CR pushed every time I smack her.
Yeah.
Because I have to sit there and time my big skills to make sure I put her down before she can take a turn.
Exactly. Like,
you're over here worried about getting detonated from a S3. I'm over here worried about getting absolutely wrecked by
one unit. I've killed the entire team. This one unit's alive and kills my entire team because I cannot get my big moves off before she gets her S3 off, which gets stronger when more units die. So
Yep.
And you can just proof her if you want to make her survive a fucking Hai Young now. So like it's just.
And then watch your Shuri exists. And then watch your Shuri exists. But you got things. So there's always an answer out there for stuff, but
do you have it built? Do you have it like geared?
Sure. I mean, if you can let through a 112 speed watcher, sure,
exactly right.
Around to get around to it, and I can land a debuff on it. The thing's probably gonna definitely die. But excuse me, I have a Katie's one shot. Asmonak and Katie's one shot watcher Shuri. I'm not gonna build two.
You can use straws, but like straws is a little iffy due to the fact that like can't she like also build like attack? A Ravi.
You can't make an anti-strays A Ravi.
Oh, thank goodness. That would actually be a little toxic.
No, the worst one is Hai Young. Because Hai Young, even with greater attack buff and vigor, strays can't beat that.
Yeah.
If they give that an attack buff.
What's her S3? Her S3 just does more damage, right?
Yep. And it revives. It's great.
Like, that's actually... Like, what?
Here, since I noticed he can't show his off, I'll show mine off.
Yeah. Sorry, Guardian. I'm currently not showing, like, any of my units off due to the fact
I don't care about this one, because it's about to get rebuilt.
E7, WC, and stuff like that. I just don't want to get sniped. But there is an ML...
That's the average one. That's an average one.
Average one's probably like what, 240 speed or so, with like 4K attacks, 250 crit damage.
Most of the whales were saying the average one's around 215.
215 speed
on lifesteal set.
Oh, on lifesteal. Okay.
Yeah, you don't build Spirit Iceline on
speed.
No, it's lifesteal. Because that with the Dust Devil tech, you literally she can be at death literally with immortality, and you hit a double Dust Devil proc, and you have full damage on them and not going through barriers or anything like that. Full health, completely.
I mean, I have the same kind of situation happen when I have her buff up on speed set.
But where are you gonna get the HP back from?
From the buff.
The buff doesn't heal for crap.
Yeah, it does. Well, for me anyways. I don't know about anyone else. For me, it heals.
Because all I'm reading here is she grants... Okay, hold on. Wait, her passive is... Where is that stupid thing?
Is it in her skills?
No, because her passive is decrease... damage suffered in one attack does not exceed 51% of the caster's max health.
S3.
Decrease skill cooldown. It's in the S3?
It's possession. Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at it at the wrong spot. I'm looking at it in the skills. I'm special. So yeah, possession, counterattack, absorbs some of the damage dealt his health. Cannot be dispelled. Yeah, that's not enough for me. I'm sorry for where I've been using her. I need the max amount of heal coming off this thing. Personally.
Interesting.
I really need the heal because that's what allows me to solo fights with her.
Man, every time I see your Sky Sins and your gold, I'm just like, ah.
Oh yeah. That's today. It'll go down. They're about to go down actually significantly.
You said tomorrow after the crafting thing, we're all gonna be crafting lots of gear.
Wait, me crafting gear tomorrow? No, I gotta refresh now to go get like 3-4 pitties ready.
Oh no.
And then I'll start crafting. Plus, I'm kind of low on mats. Let's be real. The only thing I've got like 30k on is Banshee. Revenge I can probably burn through in like 10 mil. So that's like, woohoo, 10 mil. I'm gonna save up for a bit because I've been doing so much adventure. But yeah, that's your average Spirit Iceline. She's cool. She's fun. She'll blow some units up. So overall, with the balance update, who was your hero of the update?
I don't know, man. Initially it was Armin, right? But now that you start using Destina, I'm kind of like, this Destina buff be pretty nice, man. I can see why people liked it. But
I think Destina and Armin are definitely tied, in my opinion, as the VIPs of this. And then the absolute holy crap, why did this happen? Was
Dark Corvus.
That's literally shows you how out of touch they are with their game. I'm sorry. I don't get like, and this is where again I get that cesspool of comment stuff. So again, I'm sorry if your comments turn into this, but I'm sorry. Not everything needs to be balanced around RTA and the standards of how things are in RTA. Just because it doesn't get drafted in RTA does not mean the unit is bad or needs a buff. There are units that have certain places. There are units that are designed to be PvE units, and they need to stay PvE units. There are units that are PvP units that can be used in everything. Cool. There are PvP units that are great in Arena. There are PvP units that are great in RTA, and there are PvP units that are amazing in Guild Wars. Not every single thing needed to be RTA meta-worthy. This buff is disgusting, and we can't do nothing.
Hot takes.
Because, yeah. 101 with me.
My thing about it though.
Comments to defend this video.
Oh man, my thing about it, right, is that like, if we use that mentality that like if everything needs to be like RTA, then ML Ken needs a buff, right? Because you don't see him in RTA a lot.
Do you see me drop the knowledge on guys? And yeah, he's like he's bad. I'm like, if he's bad, then why did I just beat all these guys that are in a top 300 guild with an ML Ken? He's bad, right?
He's terrible, man. Absolutely terrible.
Totally.
I promise you right now, if I had ML Ken, I'd probably draft him in RTA a lot often.
Really? But then Stenny, you can't be countered by Stenny. Landy, you can't counter Landies.
Hey, I don't care. That's not
Right?
that's not the reason I'm drafting him in. I'm not drafting him into a fucking Landy. I'm not drafting him into a Stene. Like if you think you're gonna draft ML Ken into a Stene or a Landy, you're smoking copium, bro.
you are asking for that to be an issue.
Like, don't first pick
Stop
ML
being
Ken.
stupid.
He if you're gonna be drafting ML Ken, he's going to be one of your last pick units. Like, if I saw someone draft Rand Caesarea in Pyra or something, no, not Pyra, like Rand Caesarea,
Meta.
Yeah, whatever meta cleave it is, Ida, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I would then first and foremost probably draft Sea Lilius if they didn't ban it. If they did ban Sea Lilius, then it would be like a
So that's gonna make them having to deal with that.
Rimuru, right? It'd be Rimuru. Rimuru would be my first one, so it's like a force ban for them, right? And then I would ban, or I would pick something also that's like pretty toxic, like a BBK or something maybe. Yeah. And then I would put 2 support units, probably Christy and Destina for the ER, right? And then put Emilkin in the back and just.
Yep. Good luck. Your Cleave team that you spent all that time farming for is about to get wrecked by a single dude, and then you're not gonna know what happened.
I tried killing him, but he just kept healing back up.
He kept countering, man.
He kept countering. Yo, honestly, I think I could do the same thing with Emilkin with Ainz, and it'd be funny.
Oh. The gear requirements for that, I'm crying for you.
Yeah, the gear requirement for it would be actually like really insane. But I think I could possibly pull it off. Strictly speaking, I think I could pull it off with some of my gear. I have like a 40 crit damage chest piece that I could throw on him. That's like ER. And I can also throw on I think I have another like DPS ER piece that I could throw on him, and then like throw probably I might do a lifesteal set on him. I might do just like a destruction set just to get as much damage as possible and just throw Sigurds on him and hope for the best. But then you're heavily relying on his self counter rather than, and then his is not as situational as Ken's. Ken's is like if he gets crit, he crits back. Ainz is like 50-50 is the name of my game. Maybe I'll crit. Maybe I won't.
Yep. Well, this is a new comment. This is a first for me.
Mm-hmm.
I got called a schizophrenic gamer of Ep.7.
Really?
Oh, okay. All right, that's a new one. All right. Time to go get the definition of that and copy and paste it to him and be like, really? Okay. Glad you know what that means.
One thing, Kurtos in the chat's been talking about Tayo and what kind of unit Tayo is and how he's kind of balanced compared to like Hai Young and stuff like that. Which, yes.
Why do we even use the word balance next to Hai Young's name? It's so hard to use.
Yeah.
Can we even utter the words balance and then Hai Young within the same
Listen,
sentence?
I'm not mad at Hai Young. I'm not. Like, I understand that she's busted. I understand that people are mad about that how busted she is, but like, bro, A Ravi needed to be stopped. I don't care what anyone says. A Ravi needed to be stopped. I don't care if we went to the most extreme measures. Fuck A Ravi.
The issue is it eliminates everything else on a miss.
Yes.
I wish I could find the actual comment that I wanted to read. There was a comment I wrote where I go through and I talk about each one of them, Dark Corvus, Rimuru, and Hai Young, and about each one of the things that they can counter, and how they all ignore heavy mechanics overall in general.
Mm-hmm.
She can kill grass. She can kill ice units on a miss.
Yes.
She can squishy units. She can just S1 as long as the tooth is high enough level.
Yep.
It's gonna pop no matter what. There's too much going on in her. Like the fact that you're ignoring 100% defense at no cost. Just turn one, bang. You can full ignore defense on that S3. At least Crow, you had to be low health to do damage. She just can come out the gate and do it. There's so much wrong, and I don't want to turn this video into one of those because I don't want you to have to deal with that crap in the comments because I'm okay dealing. I can take it in my comment section, but the last thing I need you to have is that kind of crap going on here. And if you get that stuff going on, let me know, and I'll come try to sort it out.
Listen, it's okay. I when I saw Tayo, I thought his S2 was kind of busted. I'm not even gonna lie. The fact that he gets a full cleanse and then like gets the Fury buff. I thought the self push was in the S2 and it wasn't the artifact. So I was just like, yo, this dude's a little nuts. So
I'd be interested to see it. I'm not pulling for him. I need after the third pity. If I hadn't have done the third pity into the custom group summon, I would have probably have done him.
Yeah,
but
he's got a very interesting kit. Like I would like to see the scaling as an S1.
I need to make smart moves for the next month. I really need to recoup. Is what comes down for me. or else I totally would do it. But the good news is he's not a limited unit. He's a normal summonable unit.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what I typically get the most of? Ice tickets. So I'll probably end up with him before the end of the year. Let's be real.
Said just throw ice tickets at him and be okay.
Yeah, we'll get this. It's no big deal.
That's how I feel with like Eufiend, bro. Everyone's like, "Oh, Eufiend's so cool." I'm like, "Fuck that unit."
I mean, you can't really use her anymore.
Yeah, no, not at all. And then her limited versions.
Her limited version is actually a really good cleanser. Not gonna lie.
It's still a niche pick, right?
Yep.
Niche pick.
But you gotta know where to take. You gotta know where to take it.
You gotta know where to take it. But I need them to come out with the ML Eufiend that's just busted, so I can use all these Eufiend dupes they keep throwing at me. I got the Covenant coin shot because of her.
Nice.
That's how many Eufiends I have. I could have had triple S Eufiend, but I foddered them into other units that I thought was more valuable.
Jeez.
Oh man!
Congrats on your Covenant shot.
Thank you. I already used it, most of my coins for Molas. So, oh look, there's Terrence, my local resident Eufiend simp.
Nice.
Anyway, thank you guys for joining us for the podcast. If you guys enjoyed this kind of content, make sure leave a comment on the video. Message me in Discord, whatever it is, to get in contact with me and let me know that you thoroughly enjoyed this kind of content. We want to make more of this kind of thing. I kind of want to do a thing where you guys give me feedback of what you want us to like talk about, and we talk about that kind of thing.
Yeah, and if you got the hate, you come over to my channel and drop that crap there. I can deal with it. Don't do it to Zake. He's too cool.
Listen. You can drop the hate. It's not like I probably won't really acknowledge it because that's just the kind of person I am. Like, it's okay if you feel upset. I know it's not me personally you're upset with. It might be the game you're upset with. I can't be bothered to go out my day to reply to people who want to be trolls. So like, Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next podcast. Peace.